Chapter 537. Luring the beasts. The beast-tide was far more than that. In the surroundings of the battlefield, Yi Fei could see a black wave of ferocious beasts, rolling and roaring as they charged towards him. In the beast-tide, Yi Fei saw a tiger with wings, spitting fire and killing the soldiers of the two countries on the ground. In the sky, Yi Fei saw a huge skeletal dragon flapping its wings and swooping down. It had already bitten several martial king realm generals to death in its mouth, and was devouring them in large mouthfuls. Suddenly, a dangerous aura came from not far away, which alerted Yi Fei. He quickly retreated and saw that the ground had become soft like sand. Groups of iron scorpions the size of buffaloes quickly crawled out of the pits with ferocious eyes. Beast-tide, how could it be a beast-tide? There is still a month to go. I know that the beast-tide was deliberately released by the West King army. The Golden Palace King was not a fool. Seeing that the beast-tide, which was supposed to break out in a month, had broken out in advance, the West King looked calm. How could he not know that the beast-tide that broke out in advance must have something to do with the West King? Hearing these words, Yi Fei and many of the soldiers felt their hearts tremble. "Father, why are you doing this?" the children of the West King shouted. They could not understand their father's behavior at all. However, the West King turned to look at everyone with tears in his eyes. He looked at the 300,000 soldiers and said, "Everyone, I'm sorry. The scale of this beast-tide is unprecedented. The 500,000 vicious wolf cavalrymen of Beiyuan State are eyeing us covetously. If we want to win, we can only perish together with them. Only in this way can we protect the 3 million people behind the West King City. Only in this way can we destroy the 500,000 vicious wolf cavalrymen and keep the peace of Beiyang State. Pass down my order. Try your best to entangle the vicious wolf cavalrymen. We will perish together with them." The West King finally waved the flag in his hand. At this time, Yi Fei finally knew the real plan of the West Sky King. This Sky King was really a super ruthless person. He was not only ruthless to his enemies, but also to himself. Perhaps, when the West Heaven King found that he could not resist the threat of the Monster Tide and Beiyuan State at the same time, he was ready to drag the Golden Tribe King into the water and perish together with him. That was why the West Heaven King led all his troops here to fight the Golden Tribe King to the death, even though he was at an absolute disadvantage. West Heaven King, you are a lunatic and treacherous man. How dare you drag our 500,000 evil wolf cavalrymen down with you? The king of the Golden Tribe was both angry and scared. He was confident that he could defeat the West King army with an absolute advantage, but he had no confidence in resisting hundreds of thousands or even millions of vicious beasts in the wilderness. Retreat! Retreat now! The Golden Palace King retreated in a panic. He did not even care about killing Yi Fei to avenge Duan Lang. The Golden Palace King was the first to turn around and retreat. He wanted to escape from this damned place with his men. But soon, all the evil wolf cavalrymen found something that terrified them. The vicious wolves they were riding on had all become violent at this moment. At the end of the day, the ferocious wolf was also a type of ferocious beast. Even though they had been trained for thousands of years, under the influence of the frenzied beast-tide, these ferocious wolves were also affected. A few of the stronger ones were still able to maintain their rationality and listen to the control of their masters. Most of the ordinary ferocious wolves suddenly went berserk and began to lose their rationality and attack their masters. The 500,000 evil wolf cavalrymen were instantly thrown into chaos. There were roars of panic and anger everywhere. On the West King army's side, the West Heaven King had already prepared for this. There was not a single vicious beast in the army, not even an ordinary military horse. Puff! Seeing this result and seeing the vicious beasts all over the mountain, the Golden Palace King was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood again. He pointed his trembling finger at the West Heaven King and then at Yi Fei. Haha, Golden Palace King, the gift I gave you is not bad, right? You want to take advantage of my misfortune? Do you really think the West King army is a pushover? The West Heaven King stared at the Golden Palace King with a sarcastic smile. Then he anxiously shouted at Yi Fei, "Yi Fei, why are you still here? If you are surrounded by the vicious beasts, you can only die here." "I'm not leaving." Yi Fei's voice was very calm. He knew that once he left, the 300,000 soldiers of the West King army would definitely all die here. The only solution now was to take advantage of the fact that the ferocious beasts had not completely surrounded them and think of a way to lead these ferocious beasts in the direction of Beiyuan. "West Heaven King, can't you find a way to lead all the vicious beasts to Beiyuan State?" Yi Fei asked loudly. "It's impossible. The West King army is weaker than Beiyuan State. To tell you the truth, before the battle, I was prepared to die together with the Golden Palace King. This tide of vicious beasts was deliberately released by the soldiers in the front line. Unless there is something special in Beiyuan State that can attract the vicious beasts, we will all suffer." As the West Heaven King spoke, he had already called many young generals and his youngest son. He ordered in a deep voice, "Follow the North Sea Sword King and break out of the encirclement immediately. The rest of you, follow me to fight to the death. Kill the beasts to protect the tribe. Kill the beasts to protect the tribe. Raise the prestige of our country. North Sea Sword King, let's go quickly. If we don't go now, it will be too late." The West Heaven King's youngest son rushed over and said anxiously, I won't go." Yi Fei sighed. He wanted to be ruthless, but he could not bear to see 300,000 soldiers of the West King army being swallowed by the tide of beasts. It is recorded in the classics of the Holy Land that the tide of beasts occurs because the vicious beasts are growing too fast. Without enough food, they will become violent. Secondly, the powerful vicious beasts will also take advantage of the violence of the low-level vicious beasts to devour the warriors and improve their cultivation. In other words, as long as he had a treasure that all the powerful vicious beasts could not resist, he would be able to lead the tide of beasts to other places. I don't care so much. In short, I'll do my best and leave the rest to fate. I can't just watch 300,000 soldiers die and do nothing. Shaking his head hard, Yi Fei suddenly left the army. However, he was not running for his life. Instead, he quickly rushed in the direction of the tide of beasts. His action immediately attracted the attention of the soldiers of the two armies. The West King was so angry that he almost vomited blood. "You stinking brat, you don't understand my words. We can all die, but you can't. Haha, what bullshit, North Sea Sword King. That brat must be out of his mind. Even if he wants to die, he doesn't have to rush in the direction of the tide of beasts." The Golden Tribe King's face was full of disdain. He guessed that Yi Fei must be out of his mind. It was a pity that he could not kill him and take back the beast mark inheritance. Yi Fei's appearance immediately attracted the attention of many powerful vicious beasts. These were all vicious beasts in the LV-10 Martial King realm. They were the absolute leaders of the vicious beasts. When they saw Yi Fei rushing in alone, they felt strange. Is this human crazy? Does he want to fight against millions of vicious beasts by himself? Of course, Yi Fei was not crazy. When he found that he had attracted the attention of these powerful vicious beasts, Yi Fei suddenly gritted his teeth and took out a desperate item. Chapter 538. Amidst the chaos, Xiao Qiao, hurry up and take out the sacred Bodhi. Yi Fei quickly communicated with Xiao Qiao in his mind as he rushed out. In Yi Fei's eyes, the sacred Bodhi was a rare treasure. He planned to use it to attract the attention of the powerful vicious beasts and lead them to the Golden Tribe King. It could also help the West King army fight against the beast tide and relieve some of the pressure. But Yi Fei's plan was good. In the end, Xiao Qiao did not give him the sacred Bodhi, but an emerald green Ganoderma lucidum leaf. The root of the leaf was still stained with blood. Xiao Chao, you! Yi Fei's eyes widened. He looked at Xiao Chao and the beast mark, who was tearing up in pain. How could he not know that Xiao Chao had plucked a green leaf from her body to help him? What was the difference between this and cutting off her own flesh? Although Xiao Chao was a plant and could regrow the broken leaves, she was still a little girl. Yi Fei felt as if his heart had been stabbed by a needle. Roar! 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 When the vicious beasts saw the green leaf, they were all shocked and their eyes turned red. They did not know what spiritual medicine Yi Fei had taken out, but almost all the vicious beasts' eyes became hot and greedy when they smelled the scent of the green leaf. Roar! Good stuff, it must be good stuff. Roar! Roar! Get out of the way. We must be the first to swallow such a treasure. If we swallow it, we may enter the divine path. Vicious beasts also had intelligence, but they didn't know how to speak. They clearly knew that Yi Fei was trying to lure them, but as soon as Xiao Cao's green leaf appeared, the hundreds of powerful vicious beasts became completely restless. Chirp! A three-colored strange bird appeared in the sky. Its body was covered with bone spikes. It swooped down and pecked at the green leaf. But before it could succeed, it roared again. The gigantic bone dragon, which was emitting a rotten aura, rushed down at an even faster speed. As it bit the strange bird to death, it opened its mouth and tried to swallow Yi Fei. Croak! At this time, the magma toad that was squatting in the distance suddenly jumped several thousand meters. Its long tongue was like a red rope of fire, and it made the air crackle as it flicked its tongue. Then there was the sound of the earth shaking again. Yi Fei saw an 8-legged tortoise running towards him. Along the way, countless vicious beasts were trampled to death. The coiled coxcomb great python on the broken peak also gave up on devouring the ordinary martial kings. Its lantern-like eyes flickered with an ominous glint as it stared intently at Yi Fei's right hand, which was holding onto the green leaf. It's done. It's better than I thought. Xiao Cao's green leaf is so precious. Yi Fei's forehead was covered in cold sweat. After all, he was being stared at by hundreds of powerful vicious beasts. Fortunately, he had achieved his goal. Just as the vicious beasts rushed towards him, Yi Fei roared and retreated. He rushed straight towards the Golden Tribe King. Roar! Behind Yi Fei, the vicious beasts roared. If the warrior in front of him was like an ordinary elixir, then Yi Fei with the green leaf was like a super elixir burning with fire. Wherever he went, the vicious beasts would go berserk. All the vicious beasts in the LV-10 Martial King realm rushed out of the crowd. They roared and chased after Yi Fei desperately. Even the charging beast horde was affected. The ferocious beasts that were originally running wildly all over the mountains subconsciously started to move together with these powerful ferocious beasts. In the wilderness, many soldiers of the West King army, who were ready to die together with the vicious beasts, suddenly saw a shocking scene. Most of the horrendous beasts ignored the West King's army and chased after Yi Fei with bloodshot eyes. Puff! Seeing this, the Golden Tribe King was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. At this time, he still did not know what Yi Fei was going to do. He was the Golden Tribe King for nothing. Pass down my order. Kill without mercy. Don't let that brat rush into our battle formation. The Golden Tribe King suddenly wanted to kill himself. Why didn't he use all his strength to kill Yi Fei just now? The generals of the Beiyuan state were also cursing. This Yi Fei is too much. The beast tide doesn't differentiate between friend and foe. What does the North Sea Sword King mean? Why does he have to lead us? Kill, kill, kill. Following the Golden Tribe King's order, the generals of the Beiyuan state were all furious. They drew their bows and arrows, wishing they could turn Yi Fei into a beehive. The rain of arrows was so dense that it looked like a huge black curtain. It covered the sky and the sun, trying to kill Yi Fei from all directions. Humph, do you think you can stop me like this? Beiyuan state, don't you want to take advantage of my misfortune? Now I'll give you a big surprise. Greater Void Steps. Before the hundreds of thousands of arrows could reach him, Yi Fei suddenly tore open the void and hid in it. He also avoided the rain of arrows. Only the vicious beasts chasing after him were killed by the rain of arrows. This also angered the experts of the vicious beasts. They did not care if Yi Fei did it on purpose. They all saw with their own eyes that Yi Fei rushed into the group of people with the green leaf full of spiritual qi. Since this was the case, they would kill this group of people and find that delicious human brat. Roar. The first to attack was the bone dragon. It opened its huge mouth and breathed out a huge gray dragon's breath. This dragon's breath not only corroded the rain of arrows in front of it, but also corroded the hundreds of vicious wolf cavalrymen in front of it into piles of white bones. Croak. The magma toad was so angry that its belly bulged. Just a moment ago, it had almost used its tongue to entangle Yi Fei. In the end, countless humans suddenly appeared and attacked it. In its fury, the toad once again spewed out an even more intense pillar of fire, like a vertical eruption of a volcano. The terrifying magma burned through dozens of the vicious wolf cavalrymen's military formations. Taking advantage of this time, the eight-legged tortoise was like a raging bull. Its huge shell allowed it to ignore the rain of swords, spears, and arrows. But when its thick legs fell, dozens of vicious wolf cavalrymen would be trampled into meat paste. Just as the tortoise attacked, a mountain-sized King Kong suddenly jumped on its back. With a casual smash of the stone pillar in its hand, several martial king generals of Beiyuan state had their bones broken. Puff! The Golden Palace King did not know how many mouthfuls of blood he had vomited today. But he knew that his heart was melting with anger. Damned West Sky King, damned North Sea Sword King, how dare you frame my evil wolf cavalry like this? There are a total of 500,000 evil wolf cavalry. Even if they are going to be destroyed, I will bury you too with them. Chapter 539. Taking the risk, kill Yi Fei. I must kill him. The Golden Tribe King's bloodshot eyes widened as he searched for Yi Fei in the chaos. At this point, the Golden Tribe King no longer expected to bring back all 500,000 vicious wolf cavalrymen. He could afford to lose the war, but Yi Fei must die. Treacherous thief, give me your life. Perhaps Yi Fei was too unlucky, or the Golden Tribe King's eyesight was too good. Not long after he charged into the vicious wolf cavalryman's formation, a terrifying killing intent locked onto him. Without looking back, Yi Fei knew that the Golden Tribe King, the invincible martial king, had discovered him. Yi Fei groaned inwardly. Being chased by tens of thousands of ferocious beasts was already a very stressful matter. If he didn't have the Greater Void Step and the Forbidden Battle Armor, he wouldn't have the courage to lead hundreds of ferocious beasts into the enemy's army. But since he was here, Yi Fei did not plan to leave. Even when facing the furious Golden Tribe King, Yi Fei did not immediately take out the forbidden armor to save his life. After all, it could only be used once. Good things should be used wisely. Yi Fei would only use the forbidden armor if he had no other choice. But in the chaos of war, Yi Fei's gambler nature kicked in. He made up his mind and decided to gamble again. What he was betting on was that these ferocious beasts only had their eyes on the green leaf in his hand and not him. Therefore, as long as he gave the green leaf to someone else, these ferocious beasts would very likely give up on pursuing him and immediately change their target to the person who obtained the Ganoderma leaf. As for who to give the Ganoderma lucidum to, Yi Fei looked at the furious Golden Tribe King who wanted to stomp him to death. A strange smile flashed across his face. Golden Tribe King, wait. I have a treasure for you. Take it. Yi Fei did not give the Golden Tribe King a chance to react. He threw the green leaf at the Golden Tribe King. The instant Yi Fei released his hand, the Lingji leaf immediately emitted an astonishing wave of spiritual energy. This wave of spiritual energy instantly attracted the attention of all the vicious beasts present. Of course, this successfully attracted the Golden Tribe King's attention. The Golden Tribe King could not believe what he had just heard. Was the North Sea Sword King an idiot? He was about to die, but he still gave him a treasure. What an idiot! "Haha, Junior, you think I won't kill you just because you gave me a treasure? You are too naive." The Golden Tribe King sneered and looked at Yi Fei as if he was an idiot. But he did not reject the Ganoderma lucidum that Yi Fei threw to him. The spiritual qi on the green leaf was so amazing that it surpassed any other spiritual medicine he had ever seen. What kind of spiritual medicine is this? It's 10 times denser than the best spiritual medicine I've ever seen in the Imperial Palace. Could it be a divine medicine? Thinking of this possibility, the Golden Tribe King's hand that was holding the Ganoderma lucidum was trembling. There was a legend in Beiyuan that whoever obtained the divine medicine would have the chance to enter the 12th level of the Martial Saint realm. At the very least, he would be able to become Wu Jun and rule over the world. It can't be wrong. This is definitely a divine medicine. As long as I can obtain it, I will have an extremely high chance of stepping onto the path of a martial sage. Ha ha, the Northern Sea Sword Monarch, you fool. You were actually scared to the point of offering such a treasure to me before you died. Fine, since you are tactful, I will reluctantly leave your corpse intact. Grabbing the Ganoderma lucidum as fast as he could, the Golden Tribe King stared at Yi Fei. His face was still glowing with ferocity, and he had already raised his full moon scimitar. Perhaps in the next breath, the Golden Tribe King would kill Yi Fei mercilessly. However, not only was Yi Fei not afraid, he even showed a grateful smile to the Golden Tribe King. Because when Yi Fei threw out the Ganoderma lucidum, all the vicious beasts had already opened their eyes greedily. They could not wait to swallow the Ganoderma lucidum in one bite. When they saw the Golden Tribe King holding such a treasure in his hand, the vicious beasts all became furious. Roar! No vicious beasts were interested in Yi Fei anymore. Before the Golden Tribe King could attack Yi Fei, a black shadow suddenly appeared above his head. He saw the irritable King Kong's entire body flying towards him. Its huge palm could not wait to grab the Golden Tribe King. "You're courting death. Get out of my way." The Golden Tribe King was furious. After all, he was an invincible martial king. He was not afraid of King Kong's movements at all. He even sent King Kong flying with one punch. But as soon as King Kong flew out, the 8-legged tortoise roared furiously and ran towards him like a moving mountain. In the sky, the enormous bone dragon also roared angrily. The gray mist suddenly transformed into a gray dragon's sharp claw that slammed forward, turning all the wolf cavalry in its path into a pool of blood and flesh. What's going on? Why are all these vicious beasts coming at me? The Golden Tribe King was shocked. He saw the magma toad, the golden-crowned python, and even a scorpion king silently attacking him with their barbs. Even the invincible martial king was flustered by the vicious beast. He was covered in cold sweat and had no time to care about a junior like Yi Fei. Outside the army, more and more powerful vicious beasts roared and charged towards the Golden Tribe King. At this moment, no matter how stupid the Golden Tribe King was, he finally realized that he, an invincible martial king, had been tricked by Yi Fei. "You North Sea Sword King, you gave me this spiritual herb with ill intentions. No wonder you could attract all these vicious beasts." The Golden Tribe King was furious. If he could split himself, he swore that he would torture Yi Fei to death in the cruelest way possible. This time, he had been tricked by Yi Fei. Dozens of ferocious beasts surrounded him and attacked him. If not for the fact that the Golden Palace King was an invincible martial king, he would have been torn apart by the beasts in an instant. Even so, the Golden Tribe King was reluctant to give up the Ganoderma leaf in his hand. The crazier the vicious beasts acted, the more the Golden Tribe King realized how valuable the Ganoderma leaf was. "Stop these vicious beasts with all your might. In the end, the Golden Tribe King summoned all the martial kings of the vicious wolf cavalry to fight against these crazy vicious beasts. As for the Golden Tribe King himself, when he saw the ferocious beasts all over the mountain, his eyes flashed with sadness, anger, and then cunningness and coldness. 500,000 soldiers of the vicious wolf cavalry, rest in peace. When I absorb the spiritual herb and become a titled Wu Jun, I will avenge you. Your Majesty, you. Hearing the Golden Tribe King's words, many generals of Beiyuan state had a bad feeling. But before they came back to their senses, a figure suddenly shot up to the sky. The Golden Tribe King decisively abandoned the 500,000 soldiers and fled with the Ganoderma leaf alone. Humph, I am not fleeing. I am preserving my strength. What's more, as long as I can reach the 12th level of the Martial Saint realm, it doesn't matter even if 500,000 of the vicious wolf cavalry die, let alone 500,000. The Golden Tribe King did not forget to excuse himself as he fled. Yi Fei also stared at the Golden Tribe King, dumbfounded. He had never seen such a shameless, invincible martial king. For a spiritual herb, not only did he flee, but he also did not care about the lives of 500,000 soldiers. No, I can't let him get the Ganoderma leaf so easily. Yi Fei's eyes flashed with determination. After all, the Ganoderma leaf was torn off by Xiao Qiao. Such a weak little girl, in order to help him, was willing to cut off her own flesh and bones. If there was no other way, then it would be fine. But as long as there was a chance, Yi Fei swore that he would try his best to take back Xiao Qiao's Ganoderma leaf. Chapter 540. To pull chestnuts out of the fire. Starring in the direction of the Golden Tribe King's escape, Yi Fei left the chaotic vicious wolf cavalry and followed him secretly. Along the way, Yi Fei was constantly blocked by frenzied ferocious beasts. The ferocious beasts that were still rampaging in the army roared angrily when they saw the Golden Palace King running away with the Ganoderma leaves. They immediately gave up on killing the ordinary wolf riders and continued to chase after the Golden Palace King without hesitation. After all, these ferocious beasts were different from ordinary ones. Their only purpose in launching the beast tide was to take advantage of the chaos and devour as many human warriors as possible to increase their cultivation. As for the Ganoderma lucidum that the Golden Tribe King had obtained, they would not give it up easily. Roar! It was still the same King Kong. It ran fast, trampling countless vicious beasts and vicious wolf cavalry to death. It was the first to catch up with the Golden Tribe King. The 100-meter-tall stone pillar gave the King Kong a huge distance advantage. It was as if the pillars of heaven were tilting. The furious King Kong swung the stone pillar and smashed it at the Golden Tribe King. Forest after forest was destroyed by the stone pillar. Vile creatures, how dare you block my way? The Golden Tribe King was furious. He knew that if he did not intimidate the powerful leader of the vicious beasts, he would not be able to escape with the Ganoderma leaf. Without any mercy, the Golden Tribe King raised his silver moon scimitar. The sky darkened at this moment. Only a bright moon could be seen. It rose slowly, emitting a shocking blade aura. It swept forward and there were sounds of explosions. The stone pillar in King Kong's hand was actually chopped into pieces by this saber light. It roared unwillingly and beat its chest. Suddenly, a fierce light flashed in its eyes. It fiercely grabbed the bright moon in the sky with its bare hands, intending to crush it directly. Seeing this, the Golden Tribe King only sneered. He was an invincible martial king. No matter how strong the King Kong was, it was nothing in his eyes. The Golden Tribe King pushed the moon and it started to spin. Desert full moon. Behind the moon came the Golden Tribe King's mocking laughter and the King Kong's fearful roar. The blade chi of the moon slashed mercilessly on the King Kong's body. The mountain-sized King Kong's head was chopped off. Its huge body fell to the ground, forming a mountain of corpses. Roar! But King Kong's death did not deter the vicious beast. Following closely behind, the eight-legged tortoise rushed over. Its hard shell allowed it to ignore the Golden Tribe King's saber radiance. It smashed a mountain into pieces. How is this possible? This is an eight-legged dragon turtle. Didn't they go extinct in ancient times? Oh no. The Golden Palace King attacked King Kong with all his might, intending to intimidate the other vicious beasts. However, he had underestimated the attraction of the Ganoderma leaf to the vicious beast. He had just killed King Kong, the bone dragon, the magma toad, the coxcomb serpent, and the eight-legged dragon tortoise. They all rushed over and surrounded the Golden Tribe King. What made the Golden Palace King even more desperate was that after the lesson of King Kong, the vicious beasts had temporarily formed an alliance. Then, the eight-legged dragon tortoise crashed into them. The coxcomb serpent also opened its mouth and spat out a poisonous cloud. The poisonous cloud was extremely terrifying. Even though Yi Fei was far away, he could smell a trace of it. He felt dizzy and weak all over. He quickly held his breath and continued to look forward. The Golden Tribe King's footsteps were also weak. He had accidentally been poisoned by the coxcomb serpent's strange poison. He became top-heavy and exposed his weakness. Boom! Taking advantage of this weakness, the eight-legged dragon tortoise crashed into him without hesitation. The ground shook and the earth cracked. The Golden Tribe King could not help but scream. Half of his body was crushed by the impact of the eight-legged dragon turtle. If he was not an invincible martial king and was an ordinary martial king, he would have been smashed to death long ago. Even so, the Golden Tribe King was unwilling to give up the Ganoderma leaf in his hand. It was his hope of becoming a martial saint. You evil creatures! Since you don't want to retreat, I will kill you all today. Suddenly, a strong wave of blood chi appeared on the heavily injured Golden Tribe King. The blood chi was terrifying. It covered an area of 10 miles. The Golden Tribe King's body was burning with blood-red flames. The full moon scimitar in his hand was filled with murderous intent. It was extremely terrifying. He slashed with his scimitar and its power was 10 times stronger than before. It directly cut a deep crack on the hard shell of the eight-legged dragon tortoise. Finally, the eight-legged dragon tortoise's eyes were filled with deep fear. It did not dare to charge forward anymore. Instead, it quickly retreated to recover from its injuries. Croak! Just as the eight-legged dragon tortoise retreated, the magma toad that had not attacked all this time suddenly jumped behind the Golden Tribe King. Its tongue was like a fire rope and easily wrapped around the Golden Tribe King's body. Roar! Seeing this, the coxcomb serpent and the bone dragon spat out 2 beams of light, one gray and one green, which pierced through the void. Fear finally appeared on the Golden Tribe King's face. He roared. His blood chi was like a dragon and a tiger. His blood essence was burning fiercely. The huge scimitar light formed a circular halo that slashed in all directions. Bright moon in the blue sea. Croak! The magma toad suddenly felt pain on its tongue. Its most powerful flaming tongue had been cut off by the Golden Tribe King. The sharp pain made the toad roll on the ground. Roar! Roar! The coxcomb serpent and the bone dragon also roared in fear. They were not invincible martial lords after all. They could not resist the Golden Tribe King who was going all out. The bone dragon's body suddenly exploded into ashes. The coxcomb serpent's body was also cut in 2 and fell to the ground. Ha ha ha, I won! The Golden Tribe King looked up to the sky and laughed. But his laughter was very sad. He had killed the 3 vicious beasts, but he had also used up all his blood essence. The powerful blood chi disappeared from his body. The Golden Tribe King now looked exhausted and his chi was extremely chaotic. Boom! At this moment, the last 8-legged dragon turtle seized the opportunity. Its entire body shrank into its shell. Its huge body turned into a spinning millstone and crashed into the Golden Tribe King like lightning. Evil creature, how dare you! An invincible martial lord was indeed terrifying. Even though he was weak, the Golden Tribe King's scimitar still emitted a shocking light that forced the dragon turtle back. Yi Fei just noticed that the scimitar in the Golden Tribe King's hand was the embryo of a divine weapon. No wonder he dared to burn his blood essence to fight the vicious beasts. With such a weapon and the Golden Tribe King's invincible martial lord realm, he was already in an invincible position. Sigh. Yi Fei sighed. He had already given up on chasing the Golden Tribe King and taking back Xiao Chao's Ganoderma lucidum. At this moment, suddenly, a huge figure rose from the ground. Without a sound, a huge black needle had already pierced the Golden Tribe King's heart. If not for the Golden Tribe King's powerful strength that allowed him to react in time and lean to the side, this attack would have pierced through his heart. How is this possible? There are still vicious beasts hiding here. Oh no, it's the Black Scorpion King. The Golden Tribe King's expression changed. He did not even change his expression when facing the 8-legged dragon turtle. But after being pierced by the black needle, the Golden Tribe King's face was filled with fear. Yi Fei, who was about to leave, saw the Golden Tribe King's body turning black. He suddenly had an idea. The Golden Tribe King has failed miserably. He was poisoned by the vicious beast. Perhaps this is the best chance for me to take back the Ganoderma lucidum. Looking at the poisoned Golden Tribe King who was less than half of his original strength, Yi Fei gritted his teeth and pulled out the Phoenix Blood Sword. Chapter 541. Killing the Golden Tribe King bastard, I'm going to kill you. The Golden Tribe King's body had turned black due to the poison, but his combat power was still shocking. He waved the embryo of the divine implement in his hand and shot out another terrifying blade radiance. This blade radiance brightened the world, as if the moon had risen high in the sky. It was full of oppressive killing intent. The Scorpion King who had sneak attacked the Golden Palace King did not expect that the Golden Palace King would be able to dodge his fatal attack. Even after being poisoned, the Golden Tribe King still had such terrifying combat power. Bam! The Scorpion King's 4 limbs were cut off by the Golden Tribe King's blade radiance. A huge wound appeared on its back. Instead of blood, it was black poisonous fog that came out of the wound. Seeing the poisonous fog, even the fearless 8-legged dragon turtle quickly fled the area, afraid of being contaminated by the poisonous fog. Puff! The Golden Tribe King spat out several mouthfuls of black blood after the attack. His aura became unprecedentedly weak. Luckily, I managed to keep this spiritual herb. With this Ganoderma lucidum, even if I'm poisoned by the most powerful poison in the world, I can quickly get rid of it. I might even have a chance to enter the divine path. Cough, cough. The Golden Tribe King laughed as he coughed up blood. He took out the Ganoderma lucidum and was about to bite off a bit to get rid of the poison in his body. Just then, a cold voice came from afar. Golden Tribe King, you should return the Ganoderma lucidum I asked you to keep and spare your life. Yi Fei strode over. Before the Golden Tribe King could touch the Ganoderma lucidum, a huge sword radiance had already slashed down. Brat, it's you. It's not enough for you to set me up, and now you're taking advantage of my weakness and sending yourself to death. Seeing Yi Fei, the Golden Tribe King's dark face turned red with anger. If it weren't for Yi Fei, his army of 500,000 would have been annihilated. If it weren't for Yi Fei, he wouldn't have been forced to burn his essence blood and almost died by a few vicious beasts. Ha ha ha, this idiot. Does he think that he can kill me just because I'm poisoned? How naive. The strength of us invincible martial kings surpasses your imagination. Seeing Yi Fei, the Golden Tribe King waved his scimitar angrily. He did not have much strength left, but the embryo of the divine weapon in the Golden Tribe King's hand was his trump card. Die for this king. The Golden Palace King's face was full of hatred. He wanted to use all his strength to chop Yi Fei into pieces. Sensing its master's will, the full moon scimitar burst out with a shocking radiance. The saber light was like a silver waterfall. It swept out, killing and destroying everything in its path. Phoenix Bloodsword, heaven-swallowing style. Yi Fei's face was cold. Facing the Golden Tribe King's final attack, he did not dodge. Instead, he raised the Phoenix Bloodsword in his hand. Boom! The raging flames burned the sky red. Yi Fei held the Phoenix Bloodsword and condensed a black hole. When the Golden Tribe King's saber light was about to hit him, a small black dot appeared on the top of the Phoenix Bloodsword. The dot expanded rapidly and then turned into a huge black hole. It kept expanding and merging with the Phoenix Bloodsword perfectly. Then, it cut the saber light in front of it. Boom! The clashing of the saber and the sword was like a thunderclap. A hole dozens of meters wide appeared on the ground. The spring water gushed up from the ground but was evaporated by the Phoenix Bloodsword's horrifying heat. Divine weapon? That's a real divine weapon. How could it be? The Golden Tribe King could not believe his eyes. What was he seeing? He could not believe that Yi Fei was holding a real divine weapon. Although the embryo of the divine weapon and the divine weapon were only 2 words apart, the difference was like heaven and earth. Even a powerful martial king with a divine weapon would dare to fight with a titled battle pet warrior, Wu Jun. Even if the Golden Tribe King had 10 embryo of the divine weapon, he would not be able to defeat a titled battle pet warrior, Wu Jun crack. After the collision between the embryo of the divine weapon and the divine weapon, the Phoenix Bloodsword was intact. However, the crescent saber in the Golden Tribe King's hand, his last weapon, was smashed into pieces. My embryo of the divine weapon! The Golden Tribe King screamed in pain. That was the embryo of the divine weapon, the most powerful treasure that had accompanied him in all his battles. However, it was smashed into pieces by Yi Fei. Unable to catch his breath, the Golden Tribe King spat out 3 mouthfuls of black blood. His eyes turned red and he lost his mind in an instant. Young man, you've tricked me so badly. Today, I'm going to kill you. Boom! The Golden Tribe King looked crazy. He burned his blood essence again without even trying to suppress the poison. He wanted to die together with Yi Fei. Yi Fei also held the Phoenix Bloodsword and pointed it forward coldly. Golden Tribe King, I've destroyed your last weapon. Even if you burn your blood essence, it will be useless. I'll take your life. Phoenix Bloodsword, sword swallowing the sky. The dark sword radiance shattered the world. With the help of the Phoenix Bloodsword, Yi Fei's strength was on par with the invincible martial king's. He first used the heaven-burying move to imprison the Golden Tribe King's body. Then he used the sky-swallowing move without mercy. The Golden Tribe King felt his entire body stiffen. A neat line of blood spread from his forehead to his entire body. Bang! The Golden Tribe King's body exploded into 2 halves. His broken organs and blood splattered all over the sky. Even in death, he could not believe that Yi Fei could kill him. How could a country bumpkin kill an invincible martial king like me? The Golden Tribe King felt that his death was unjust. Phew! I finally got Xiao Chao's Ganoderma lucidum back. Yi Fei rushed over and took the Ganoderma lucidum. He also took off the spatial ring on the Golden Tribe King's finger. Before he could take a closer look at what was inside. Without a sound, a snake's head reached over and bit Yi Fei's shoulder. Crack! Yi Fei felt a sharp pain in his shoulder. His entire arm was almost bitten off. When he turned around, he discovered that it was actually the coxcomb great python that had been cut in 2. Not only did it not die, but it had also managed to sneak up on Yi Fei. Damn it, I was too careless. Yi Fei just remembered that snakes were different from other vicious beasts. Even if their bodies were cut in half, as long as their heads were still intact, they could still survive for a while. Now that he had the Ganoderma lucidum back, he naturally replaced the Golden Tribe King as the target of these vicious beasts. Think about it. Even an invincible martial king like the Golden Tribe King was almost killed by a group of vicious beasts. Yi Fei had not even reached the 10th realm of Martial King. How could he face the endless vicious beasts? Especially the coxcomb great python's sharp jaws. Even the battle devil golden body could not withstand it. Furthermore, the coxcomb great python was not the only coxcomb great python here. The 8-legged dragon tortoise, the black scorpion king, and many other ferocious beasts that were roaring and approaching from not far away all stared at Yi Fei with bloodthirsty eyes at almost the same time. Oh no, I have to escape as soon as possible. Greater Void Step. Enduring the sharp pain, Yi Fei waved the phoenix blood sword and released a large amount of divine fire from outer space. It burned towards the coxcomb python. At the same time, he tore open the void and rushed in. Roar. Seeing Yi Fei's actions, the 8-legged dragon turtle, the black scorpion king, the magma toad that had lost its tongue, and the coxcomb python that only had its head left rushed towards Yi Fei furiously. They opened their mouths and wanted to swallow Yi Fei. At this critical moment, Yi Fei finally discovered the ingenuity of the Greater Void Step. This step was simply made for escaping. Chapter 542. The great battle ended. Many vicious beasts were unwilling to give up. They followed Yi Fei's aura and chased after him. Yi Fei had no choice but to use the Greater Void Steps to move quickly. But in this way, the poison on his shoulder, which was bitten by the python, was getting stronger. Not good, I have to find a place to go into seclusion and heal. Xiao Qiao, quickly find me a safe place. Yi Fei said to Xiao Qiao. He knew that Xiao Qiao was a plant and was naturally sensitive to spiritual qi and vicious beasts. With Xiao Qiao's help, he would have a better chance of escaping. Xiao Qiao cried in the beast mark space when she saw that Yi Fei was seriously injured. In order to help her take back the green leaf, she immediately jumped out and said nothing. She just picked up the green leaf that Yi Fei took back and stuffed it into Yi Fei's mouth. Xiao Qiao, you! Yi Fei was stunned. The West Heaven King, who also risked his life to come here, was also stunned. He came to save Yi Fei, but he didn't see Yi Fei. Instead, he saw the Golden Tribe King's corpse and countless powerful vicious beasts roaring in anger. The Golden Tribe King is dead. Where is the North Sea Sword King? Did he also? A 10th level Martial King beside the West Heaven King said in shock. But before he could finish, the West Heaven King kicked him hard. What are you talking about? Yi Fei is as smart as a ghost. How could he be killed so easily? Didn't you see that the Golden Tribe King was not killed by the vicious beasts? He was cut in half by a sword chi. Heavenly King, it can't be. The Golden Tribe King is an invincible martial king. Although the North Sea Sword King is a genius, he is not even a 10th level martial king. How could he kill the Golden Tribe King? The martial king following him was shocked beyond belief. Not to mention him, even the West Heaven King shuddered at the sight of the Golden Tribe King's corpse. Yi Fei is indeed a freak. How could he kill the Golden Tribe King so easily? It seems that I've been worrying about him for nothing. Pass down my order, retreat immediately and leave this place before the beast tide attacks us. But the Sword King of the North Sea? There's no need to care about that brat. Heaven helps the worthy. Besides, in this situation, it's impossible for us to find him. The West Heaven King sighed. He understood that Yi Fei was either chased by the vicious beasts and escaped, or he might have been injured and went to find a safe place to heal. Besides, on the battlefield, it was impossible for the West Heaven King to abandon his hundreds of thousands of troops just to find Yi Fei, just like the Golden Tribe King. Yi Fei, you must come back alive! The West Heaven King roared at the sky. In the end, he did not dare to alarm the experts in the beast tide. He returned to the army formation with his subordinates at the fastest speed. Taking advantage of the fact that the West King army was not in the main direction of the beast tide, he gave an order. The 300,000 West King army retreated from the battlefield almost unscathed and returned to the West Heaven City. As for the 500,000 wolf cavalrymen who were still besieged by the vicious beasts, the West Heaven King had no obligation to save them. After all, the Golden Tribe King had abandoned these people. With the West Heaven King's ruthless character, he would not risk saving the soldiers of the enemy country. As a result, the insufferably arrogant Golden Tribe King and his 500,000 wolf cavalrymen were completely annihilated under the attack of the millions of beasts. Not a single soldier managed to escape. When the news reached the imperial capital of Baiyuan State, the whole state was shocked. 500,000 troops were gone just like that? The invincible Golden Tribe King died just like that? If this was a war between two countries, the nobles in the imperial capital could accept it. But the point was that the Golden Tribe King's 500,000 soldiers had been killed by someone else from the beginning to the end. Unforgivable. The troops of Baiyuan State were annihilated when they were helping the enemy country to resist the beast tide. This is a disgrace. The Golden Tribe King is an idiot. He is a pig's head. How can he be an invincible martial king? No, I want to see His Majesty now. It doesn't matter if the Golden Tribe King is dead, but Duan Lang is the number 2 genius of Baiyuan State. How could he be killed? Baiyuan State, you must give us a reasonable explanation. If the death of the Golden Tribe King was only a disgrace to Baiyuan State, then Duan Lang's death was enough to make Baiyuan State furious. After all, it was not easy to produce a genius in the northern region. With Duan Lang's talent, it was entirely possible for him to become Wu Jun. But now he was killed. More importantly, the one who killed Duan Lang was a nobody. When the news reached the ears of Crown Prince Song Yu, he was also in disbelief. Duan Lang is dead? How is this possible? Duan Lang's talent was only below Song Yu's. He was considered the strongest young expert in Baiyuan State. In order to win over Duan Lang, Song Yu did not hesitate to withdraw from this year's Heaven and Earth Supreme list and promoted Duan Lang to the number 1 position. In the end, Duan Lang died before he could bring him any benefits. Song Yu's investment was all for naught. After the shock, Song Yu was furious. Who killed Duan Lang? Also, where is Duan Lang's beast mark inheritance? Did you get it back? Replying to the Crown Prince, the one who killed Duan Lang was not a genius from another country. It was the number 1 expert on the Earth Board of Baiyang State, the North Sea Sword King Yi Fei. Duan Lang's beast mark inheritance should have fallen into Yi Fei's hands, the warrior who reported the news said with trepidation. Even without lifting his head, the person could feel Song Yu's anger and confusion. Who is Yi Fei? Isn't the number 1 on the Earth Board of Baiyang State the 4th Prince, Zhu Zhen? Where did this Yi Fei come from? Among the geniuses in the North region, I have only heard of Lin Tianjiao, Fu Renjie, Chen Mengyao and a few others. Duan Lang, this idiot, actually lost to a nobody. What a disgrace to Baiyuan State. Men, call Tu Fu over. Also, I need all the whereabouts of this Yi Fei. When Song Yu gave the order, there was a murderous intent in his eyes. Baiyang State and Baiyuan State had been enemies for generations. Be it for public or private reasons, he absolutely could not tolerate the appearance of a genius who was on par with him in an enemy country. No matter who you are, since you caused Baiyuan State to suffer such heavy losses, I definitely cannot let you continue living. North Sea Sword King? Humph, a country bumpkin from a small place actually has the right to be called a king. Song Yu thought of Yi Fei's title and a look of displeasure appeared on his face. But what Song Yu did not know was that, after the end of the war, it was not only Baiyuan State that was inquiring about Yi Fei. After the battle at Zishanwang City, Yi Fei had killed the Golden Tribe King's 500,000 troops. Martial artists from Beihuang and Beichuan gradually heard of Yi Fei's name. When they heard that Yi Fei had actually killed the number 2 genius of Baiyuan State, Duan Lang, many martial artists were even more dumbfounded. Unknowingly, Yi Fei's fame had already replaced Duan Lang's, becoming the new genius of the North region in the hearts of many martial artists. There were even people who specially came to the North Sea to see what the land of the North Sea, where geniuses were born, was like. Chapter 543. Main Zhao Clan Yi Fei found it hard to imagine that a single piece of Ganoderma lucidum taken from Xiao Chao's body was more powerful than 10,000 heaven-grade pills. If he didn't know that Xiao Chao wanted him to eat the Ganoderma lucidum to recover quickly, Yi Fei would have suspected that Xiao Chao was trying to harm him. After eating the Ganoderma lucidum, the injury on Yi Fei's shoulder healed quickly. However, the explosive spiritual qi contained in the Ganoderma lucidum made Yi Fei's nose bleed and his face turn red. Even the powerful Devil Emperor scripture couldn't completely refine the astonishing spiritual qi contained in the Ganoderma lucidum. If Yi Fei hadn't cultivated the invincible devil body and had a strong enough body, he would have exploded from the spiritual qi if he ate the Ganoderma lucidum. What made Yi Fei angry was that Xiao Chao actually stuck out his tongue and made a gesture to cheer him on. Then, he hid in the beast mark space and continued to sleep. Yi Fei was very depressed. He had planned to go back to the Western Heavenly King City to check on the situation after avoiding the pursuit of the vicious beast. However, in order to refine the Ganoderma lucidum, he had spent 3 whole months. It had taken him 3 whole months. It seems that I can't just eat any spiritual medicine in the future. 3 months later, Yi Fei finally heaved a sigh of relief when he sensed that the explosive spiritual energy in his body was almost completely absorbed. What made him depressed was that after absorbing so much spiritual qi, his cultivation didn't increase at all. He was still in the 8th level of the martial king realm. However, his martial will had increased by 10% under the effect of the Ganoderma lucidum. Now Yi Fei's devouring sword intent and slaughtering fist intent had both reached 80%. He only needed the last 20% before he could obtain the complete martial will. Obtaining the complete martial will was only the beginning of the 12th level of the martial saint realm. This level was also known as the martial saint realm. Only by comprehending the sage ruler Tao and obtaining the complete martial will I be able to transcend the mortal world and comprehend the sage Tao of the heavens and earth from my own martial Tao. From there, I will step into the martial sage realm. However, it's extremely difficult to achieve the 12th layer of the martial sacred realm. Even the geniuses of the northern region might not have 100% chance of succeeding. It's common for people like the sword maniac elder to be stuck here for decades, or even centuries. If I want to reach that level, it's definitely not something that can be accomplished overnight. After recalling all this, Yi Fei finally calmed down. He finally had time to check the Golden Tribe King's space ring. He opened it curiously and Yi Fei's eyes almost popped out. Even though he knew that an invincible martial king like the Golden Tribe King would have treasures on him, he still couldn't believe that the Golden Tribe King had so many treasures. A total of 30 million spiritual crystals. Not only that, there were also a large number of heaven-grade elixirs. These were not the ordinary first or second-grade elixirs. They were the Saint King elixirs needed to break through to the martial saint realm. As the name suggested, these elixirs were specially made for invincible martial kings to break through to the martial saint realm. Once he broke through to the martial saint realm, the Golden Tribe King would be half a step into the martial saint realm. As for the rest, the Golden Tribe King could only accumulate them with time. It could take decades or even hundreds of years. As long as he had the opportunity, he would naturally step into the 12th level of the martial saint realm. What Yi Fei didn't know was that the Golden Tribe King had collected all these elixirs over the past few decades. He planned to try to break through to the martial saint realm soon. But now, Yi Fei had picked up a ready-made elixir. What a pile of Saint King elixirs. It seems that I won't have to worry about elixirs when I break through to the martial saint realm. And that Saint Bodhi, if that thing matures, I might be able to save decades of hard work and directly step into the 12th level of the martial saint realm, becoming Wu Jun. As he thought about it, even though Yi Fei's mind was mature, he was still trembling with excitement. Then, he remembered something. However, Saint King elixirs are easy to get, but this Saint Bodhi is not so easy to mature. I heard from Xiao Chao that what I got was not the complete Saint Bodhi. It seems to be missing something. Yi Fei couldn't help but feel a little depressed when he thought of this. At this time, Yi Fei didn't know that the real Saint Bodhi had a total of 12 segments, representing the 12 devil gods of the heavens and earth. What he had obtained was only one of the fragments. The remaining 11 fragments were all gathered in the lair of the Blood Demon Church. Due to the great enmity with the Beiyuan country, Yi Fei didn't dare to pass through the border of the Beiyuan country and return to the western Heavenly King City. Instead, he decided to leave alone and go to the Beichuan country to continue his training. One day after 2 months, a majestic city appeared in front of Yi Fei's eyes. However, this city didn't belong to any country. It belonged to the sphere of influence jointly controlled by many families. There were many cities like this in the northern region. They were all formed by many powerful clans and sections. Individually or jointly, they occupied a piece of land and formed a unique clan force. These forces were not as powerful as the 4 countries of the northern region, but they couldn't be underestimated. For example, the skyscraper ridge that Yi Fei came from was jointly controlled by 2 families. Their sphere of influence was as large as the entire 18 countries of the North Sea. There are 2 families in total that control this area. One is surnamed Zhao, and the other is surnamed Liu. If my information is correct, this should be the main clan of the Zhao family. After the fall of the Zhao family, the royal family of the Zhao family should have returned to the main clan. Looking at the city in front of him, Yi Fei's eyes lit up. Since the royal family of the Zhao family could return here, would Zhao Yu also come here? Xiao Chao seemed to be bored in the beast-mark space. He popped his head out and looked at the city with shining eyes. Then, he looked at Yi Fei pitifully and made a gesture of biting his finger. Yi Fei suddenly felt dizzy. How long has it been? Are we going to eat candied haws again? Boss, give me 10,000 sticks of candied haws. When Yi Fei threw a pile of spiritual crystals in front of the candied haws peddler, the peddler also felt dizzy. Hero, the old and decrepit is a small business. We don't have as much as you want. Damn. Give me as much as you have. By the way, which way should I go to the Zhao family? Yi Fei patted his head. Only then did he remember that he had been cultivating for too long. The life of a mortal had become unfamiliar to him. This was a pity and a helplessness. Yi Fei casually threw a piece of spiritual crystal to the peddler, who had made a fortune, and respectfully sent him off. Then, he finally arrived in front of the red gates of the Zhao family. He saw that the gates were tightly shut. 2 guards of level 1 martial honorable realm were guarding the gates with their hands on their hip. They looked imposing. Yi Fei was a little surprised. A group of guards were all martial honorable realm experts. The main clan of the Zhao family was much stronger than he had expected. It was not a waste for him to come all the way here. I would like to trouble the 2 of you to report that I would like to see the head of the Zhao family. Yi Fei walked up and said politely to the 2 guards. Chapter 544. Cold reception. Yi Fei immediately felt some anger in his heart when he received such an attitude after asking for an audience so nicely. However, considering that this was the Zhao clan's main clan and that he was planning to obtain the Burning Heaven style from the Zhao clan, he could only forcefully suppress his anger. Brothers, please inform them that I have an important matter and would like to request an audience with the Zhao clan's patriarch. Yi Fei raised his voice slightly. As a result, the 2 servants immediately scolded him. What are you shouting for? I'm not deaf. You unruly thing. Our patriarch is an invincible martial king in this area. He has a lot of things to attend to every day. Do you think any Tom, Dick, or Harry can request an audience with him? I only have one word for you, scram. Yi Fei was very depressed. He merely didn't give any gifts, but these two servants' tempers were even worse than his. They were really seventh-rank officials in front of the Prime Minister's door. Although the Zhao clan wasn't the Prime Minister, they were the absolute rulers of this area. Countless martial king experts came to visit them every day. These servants guarding the door had long become numb to it. This was also the reason why these two servants dared to scold Yi Fei, even though they knew that Yi Fei was a powerful martial king and that Yi Fei didn't give them any gifts. After hearing these words, Yi Fei finally couldn't take it anymore. He said in a deep voice, "I'm only requesting an audience with your patriarch. If you don't inform him, then don't inform him. Why do you have to make it sound so unpleasant? What can you do even if I make it sound unpleasant? You're dressed like a beggar and don't know any etiquette. How can you break through to martial king like this? You're even more shabby than those poor relatives from the North Sea." The two servants were fearless because this was the Zhao clan. They directly pointed their fingers at Yi Fei's nose and mocked Yi Fei for being a country bumpkin. If he hadn't heard them mention the North Sea, Yi Fei really wanted to slap these two dogs to death. Trying his best to suppress his anger, Yi Fei deliberately tried to sound them out. "I'm also from Beihai. I'm here to reunite with my family. How is your majesty? I want to see your majesty." "What bullshit majesty? Brat, I told you to scram, but you didn't hear me. Don't you know what kind of place this is? You dare to cause trouble?" A servant cursed. Another servant stared at Yi Fei and suddenly thought of something. He hurriedly stopped his companion and said, "Don't scold him yet. This person really seems to be from the North Sea. Wait here for a moment. The patriarch isn't here today. I'll help you inform the young master. He's just a poor relative from the North Sea. There's no need to disturb the eldest young master. Just calling a housekeeper is already showing him too much respect." Another servant grumbled unwillingly, but he still retreated to the side. Fortunately, this person retreated quickly. Otherwise, Yi Fei would definitely have slapped this bastard across the face. But seeing that they were finally willing to report, he forced himself to hold back his anger. Hopefully, the people from the Zhao family would be better. Yi Fei thought to himself. He waited outside for about a quarter of an hour before the vermilion gates of the Zhao family opened with a rumble. The servant who returned pointed at Yi Fei and said, "Eldest young master, it's him. He said he's from the North Sea." Yi Fei also curiously sized up this eldest young master. He saw that this person had greasy hair and a powdered face. There was also the smell of cosmetics on his body. It was obvious that he had just fooled around with women. He didn't like him very much. He thought to himself, "Don't tell me he's another dandy. Ha, so it's my elder brother. He came from afar. You two bastards, why didn't you inform him immediately? Hurry up and apologize to him." The moment this person came out, he berated the two servants. The two servants were submissive and quickly apologized to Yi Fei. One couldn't slap a smiling person. Yi Fei could only raise his hand to indicate that it was fine. He then looked at the friendly eldest young master of the Zhao family and said, "I would like to request an audience with His Majesty. May I know where His Majesty is?" His Majesty? Eldest young master Zhao was stunned for a moment before he realized that Yi Fei was referring to Emperor Zhao. A trace of disdain and contempt flashed through the depths of this person's eyes. He couldn't hide it no matter how hard he tried. Yi Fei naturally noticed the change in this person's emotions. His heart thumped and he immediately understood. Even if the imperial family of the Zhao family returned to the main clan, they wouldn't have an easy time. After all, these two servants had already said that the imperial family of the Zhao family from the North Sea was nothing more than a poor relative in the eyes of the main Zhao family. However, this eldest young master of the Zhao family was also strange. From his expression, it was obvious that he looked down on Yi Fei. However, the words he said were a little too enthusiastic. Haha, please come in, elder brother. You must be tired after coming from afar. I've already ordered the servants to prepare food and wine at home. Elder brother, please don't refuse. As he spoke, the eldest young master of the Zhao family was about to enthusiastically grab Yi Fei's hand. Yi Fei didn't stand on ceremony. He spat on the spot and rubbed his hands together. Before eldest young master Zhao could react, he had already grabbed the other party's hand and said emotionally, "Eldest young master is personally welcoming me. How can I refuse? Since there's food and wine, what are we waiting for? Let's go in and eat immediately." Eat my ass. The originally enthusiastic eldest young master of the Zhao family suddenly flew into a rage. Seeing that Yi Fei was actually shaking his hand with spit on, eldest young master Zhao couldn't keep up his pretense any longer. Almost subconsciously, he slapped Yi Fei across the face. But this slap was heavy and loud. However, it wasn't on Yi Fei's face. Instead, it was Yi Fei's backhand slap that stunned eldest young master Zhao. The two servants were also stunned. Eldest young master was actually slapped by a poor relative from the countryside. How could this be possible? Zhao Luan was also stunned for a few seconds. Then he covered his face and jumped up in rage. He said sternly, "Damn it, Yi Fei, you're just a country bumpkin from the North Sea. How dare you hit me? You know me?" Yi Fei was very surprised. He slapped this person because he saw that this person was hypocritical and harbored evil intentions. Now, it seemed that his slap was too light. Of course I know you. You sure have guts. You snatched the embryo of my Zhao clan's saint artifact, and you still dare to come here and swindle others. Men, capture this person." The Zhao clan's young master laughed savagely. Yi Fei's slap had removed all of his pretense. Behind the Zhao family's gate, an expert of the 10th Martial King realm immediately rushed out and slapped Yi Fei mercilessly. "How dare you, you bastard! How dare you harm eldest young master? I'll take your life." "Take my life? Just because you're an old man? Get out of my way." Yi Fei was already angry. Since the Zhao family was up to no good, he didn't need to continue enduring. Boom, boom, boom. Yi Fei rushed forward. With just 3 punches, the Martial King expert fell to the ground screaming and vomiting blood. Then, with a move of his feet, Yi Fei appeared in front of Zhao Luan in an instant. Slap. He couldn't be bothered to reason with this kind of person. First, he slapped him hard. "Speak. Why do you want to harm me? What did you do to the royal family of the state of Zhao? Speak and I'll spare your dog life." Yi Fei's viciousness completely frightened the 2 servants and the Martial King on the ground. Wasn't this person from the North Sea? How could he be so fierce? Zhao Luan, who was slapped twice in a row, was so angry that he roared. One had to know that this was the main gate of the Zhao family. In the end, not only did Yi Fei slap him twice, he even treated his life like a dog's. Chapter 545. The Emperor Pavilion. Zhao Luan was furious. The commotion outside finally alerted the true experts of the Zhao clan. Another 5 10th-layer Martial Kings rushed out from behind the vermilion door, their faces filled with anger. When they saw Zhao Luan's swollen face, they simply couldn't believe their eyes. One had to know that the Zhao family was the absolute ruler of Skyscraper Ridge. But now, someone had actually beaten up Zhao Luan in front of the Zhao family's house. This was simply provoking the lion. "Let go of the eldest young master! How dare you come to the Zhao family to commit murder? Don't talk nonsense with him. Kill him and avenge the eldest young master." These Martial Kings who rushed out did not say much. They immediately attacked Yi Fei the moment they saw him. Seeing the Zhao clan that he had been waiting for so long to be so domineering, Yi Fei felt both angry and disappointed. No wonder Zhao Xinjian would rather move to the North Sea than stay in the main Zhao family. This place is really foul. Are you the ones who want to kill me? Whoosh. Yi Fei appeared in front of these 10th-rank martial kings. Without hesitation, he activated the war demon golden body and punched out with the empty fist of Killing Emperor. The few martial kings who had rushed over were already screaming miserably and vomiting blood as they fell to the ground. They were seriously injured. Of course, Yi Fei was also hit by the attacks of these martial kings. However, the strength of the war demon golden body perfectly protected Yi Fei. At least, these few ordinary 10th-level martial kings were unable to break through Yi Fei's defense. How can this be? How can you be so powerful? Zhao Luan stood up shakily. He was about to say something, but before he could say anything, he saw the subordinates he relied on being defeated by Yi Fei. Zhao Luan was so scared that his legs went soft. He turned around and wanted to escape. Where are you going? Do you think you can leave before you answer my question? Whoosh! Yi Fei rushed in front of Zhao Luan again, completely ignoring Zhao Luan's desperate struggle and resistance. With just one kick, Yi Fei sent Zhao Luan to the ground. Then, Yi Fei stomped on Zhao Luan's stomach. Zhao Luan was so angry that he saw stars and his stomach was about to explode. In the skyscraper ridge, Zhao Luan had always been the one to do whatever he wanted. When had the eldest young master of the Zhao family been stepped on? Yi Fei, kill me if you dare. How dare you treat me like this? Do you know the consequences of offending the Zhao family? Zhao Luan shouted viciously at Yi Fei. Yi Fei coldly shook his head and said, Then do you know the consequences of offending me? Crack. Yi Fei only used a little bit of force to step on Zhao Luan's stomach, but it was already enough to make Zhao Luan vomit out his gallbladder. Zhao Luan even felt that Yi Fei's foot was about to break his intestines. His resentful expression instantly turned into fear. Tell me, where is the Zhao royal family? Yi Fei asked again. I'll tell you. I'll tell you now. They opened a monarch pavilion in the south of the city. I beg you, let me go. Zhao Luan was finally afraid. He didn't want to be trampled to death by Yi Fei. Monarch pavilion, right? If I find out that you lied to me, I'll break your legs. Get lost. Yi Fei kicked Zhao Luan to the side. He didn't care about the surrounding Zhao family martialists as he strode towards the south of the city. It was only at this moment that a group of Zhao family martial practitioners hurriedly ran over and helped Zhao Luan up in a flurry. Eldest young master, are you all right? A bunch of trash. Did the Zhao family raise you dogs for free? You can't even beat him. Damn it, Yi Fei, this isn't over. Zhao Luan touched his bruised and swollen face. When he thought about the humiliation of being trampled by Yi Fei in front of so many people, the anger in his heart suddenly flared up. The city where the Zhao family was located was divided into two parts, the north and south of the city. The north of the city was controlled by the Zhao family, while the north of the city was controlled by the Lu family. Both sides were working together. The Zhao royal family was a branch of the Zhao family, but they opened a restaurant in the south of the city that was controlled by the Lu family. This showed how tense the relationship between the two sides was. Yi Fei followed the directions of a passerby and arrived at the monarch pavilion. He realized that it was a very high-end restaurant. The entire place was decorated with gold and jade, just like a palace. It also had the characteristics of the Zhao kingdom. This made Yi Fei feel a sense of familiarity. Even if the Zhao kingdom was destroyed, it seems like the Zhao family's royal family is doing well here. After standing outside the monarch pavilion for a while, Yi Fei saw groups of warriors going in and out of the monarch pavilion. There were martial grandmasters among them, but most of them were martial honorables and martial kings. Yi Fei also saw a familiar face from afar. It was eunuch Lu Chun, whom he had met once before. He walked over and greeted Lu Chun. Senior Lu, long time no see. Hey, you're Yi Fei. What are you doing here in Skyscraper Ridge? Lu Chun jumped in fright. He did not even greet the guest. He hurriedly pulled Yi Fei into the restaurant and ran directly to the third floor. As he ran, Lu Chun shouted anxiously, "Yi Fei, you shouldn't have come here. The Zhao family already knows that you took the Phoenix blood sword. If they know that you're here, they will definitely make a move on you." Yi Fei was speechless when he heard this. Originally, he wanted to say that he came over from the Zhao clan's main clan, but Lu Chun walked too quickly, so he held back and didn't speak. The Monarch Pavilion was divided into 3 floors. The bottom 2 floors were inns for warriors. The third floor was where the Zhao royal family lived. These people all knew Yi Fei. When they saw Yi Fei, many of them jumped in fright. They hurriedly informed the Emperor of the Zhao kingdom, "Your Majesty, bad news. Yi Fei is here." "What? Yi Fei? Didn't I write a letter to him telling him not to come here?" The Emperor of the Zhao kingdom was shocked. He did not expect that he had written a letter to the Taixien sacred ground. Yi Fei was no longer in the Taixien sacred ground. "Your Majesty, long time no see." Yi Fei met the former emperor of the Zhao kingdom, Zhao Sheng. Although the Zhao kingdom had fallen, Yi Fei still bowed solemnly to the emperor. This person was not only Zhao Yu's father. The Phoenix blood sword that he had given to Yi Fei had also helped him a lot. "Hey, don't call me Your Majesty. I'm just an old man. If you don't mind, just call me Uncle Zhao." "Oh right, it's been so long. How are you and you are doing?" Zhao Xing asked with concern. Yi Fei was stunned when he heard this. "Why, Zhao, you didn't come back?" He was slightly disappointed, but he still told Zhao Xing about Zhao Yu and the Empress Dowager. "Uncle Zhao, this is the situation. I'm useless. I couldn't protect Zhao Yu," Yi Fei said guiltily. "Hey Yi Fei, it's not your fault. It's that old witch's fault. She wants her son to be a dragon and her daughter to be a phoenix. She has already gone mad. However, the Empress Dowager is extremely wise. With her around, Yu doesn't have to worry about being taken advantage of." Zhao Xing sighed. Chapter 546. Zhao Wudi. After saying that, Zhao Xing purposely put on a stern face and gestured for him to leave. Yi Fei was very depressed. It was one thing for the Zhao family to chase him away, but Zhao Xing also wanted to chase him away. "Uncle Zhao, am I really that annoying?" Yi Fei rubbed his nose gloomily as he asked. Zhao Xing's face twitched, but he still hardened his heart and said, "That's right, you are annoying. At the very least, we don't want you to disturb us anymore. I also don't want to see you stay in Skyscraper Ridge." Yi Fei wasn't angry when he heard that. Instead, he suddenly said, "Uncle Zhao, you're in such a hurry to chase me away because you're afraid that the main Zhao family will find out and snatch my Phoenix blood sword, right?" "Bastard, who told you this? Was it that bastard Lu Chun?" Zhao Xing couldn't keep up the pretense anymore. He could only shake his head and sigh. "Yi Fei, don't blame Uncle Zhao. The main Zhao family isn't someone you can offend. I also don't want the Phoenix blood sword to fall into the hands of the Zhao family. It seems like you guys have suffered a lot from the Zhao family here." Yi Fei nodded in understanding. Zhao Xing also sighed subconsciously. "Isn't that so? Everyone says that we are related by blood, but we are a thorn in the side of the main Zhao family. They can't wait for us poor relatives to all die." "That's not right. I'm chasing Yi Fei away, but I ended up being tricked by this brat." Zhao Xing pointed at Yi Fei, feeling both angry and amused. "You brat? You still have the mood to talk about this? If the main Zhao family finds out that you're here, you'll be in big trouble. Hurry up and leave." Yi Fei nodded. He knew that Zhao Xing was doing this for his own good. He couldn't hide it anymore and could only tell the truth. "Uncle Zhao, I appreciate your kindness, but unfortunately, it's too late. Before meeting you guys, I went to the main Zhao family and beat up the Zhao family's young master." "What? You actually beat up Zhaoluan?" Zhao Xing was so shocked that he almost fell to the ground. This brat, Would it kill him if he didn't cause trouble everywhere? Zhao Xing was speechless on the spot. He didn't know what to say. Yi Fei was also a little depressed. He knew that the Zhao family would not let him off so easily. Just as both parties were silent, boom! The entire monarch pavilion shook. Then, a loud and clear voice came from outside. Zhao Xing, this old man knows that Yi Fei has come to the monarch pavilion. If you know what's good for you, immediately hand him over. This old man can still consider the fact that we are from the same clan and not bicker with you. Third uncle, why did you let them go? If it weren't for these country bumpkins from the North Sea, I wouldn't have been beaten up so badly. It's better to drive them all away. Zhao Luan's furious roar came from outside. Zhao Xing's complexion turned deathly pale all of a sudden. The other members of the royal family, including Lu Chun, heard the commotion and gathered around. They said in panic, Your Majesty, this is bad. The main family's Zhao Luan is here. He even brought Zhao Wudi. Is Zhao Wudi very strong? Yi Fei interrupted. How can he not be strong? He was once a genius of the North region. If it weren't for his injuries that damaged his foundation, he would have already become the second invincible martial king of the Zhao family. The one who replied was Zhao Xing. Hearing this, Yi Fei couldn't help but laugh. In that case, this Zhao Wudi doesn't live up to his name. As long as he isn't an invincible martial king, you don't have to be afraid. I'll go out and meet him. Yi Fei didn't say anything else and walked out with large strides. At this moment, the cultivators who were drinking in the monarch pavilion all came out. They looked at the aggressive Zhao Wudi and Zhao Luan in astonishment. Then, they looked at Yi Fei, who was walking out alone with his hands behind his back. They were all very astonished. Who is this person? He actually doesn't know what's good for him, and provoked Zhao Wudi. Zhao Wudi was once a genius of the North region. Even if he lost the halo of being a genius, his strength is still enough to be called a hero among the older generation. Who can't be provoked? He actually provoked the Zhao family in Skyscraper Ridge. That brat Yi Fei is going to be miserable. Yi Fei. This name sounds familiar. I think I've heard it somewhere before. Why can't I remember? Seeing Yi Fei walk out so casually, Zhao Xing, Lu Chun and the others almost fainted from fright. This Yi Fei didn't want to live anymore. He clearly knew that the person standing outside was Zhao Wudi, and there were more than 10 10th-level martial kings of the Zhao family. Yet, he still dared to walk out. What's the difference between this and throwing away his life? No, I can't let Yi Fei die like this. Zhao Xing clenched his teeth and quickly rushed out. He quickly bowed to Zhao Wudi and said, Big brother Wudi, it's all because Yi Fei is young and doesn't know any better. Big brother, please give him a way out and listen to my explanation. In any case, you were once the emperor of Zhao country. How can I, Zhao Wudi, a commoner, bear the title of your majesty? Zhao Wudi coldly snorted. However, since they were both from the same clan, it wasn't good for him to make a move. Zhao Luan, who was beside him, wasn't so polite. He had long disliked this group of country bumpkins. Just now, he was ruthlessly humiliated by Yi Fei. When he saw Yi Fei appear, Zhao Luan was filled with anger. He couldn't wait to tear Yi Fei to shreds. At this moment, Zhao Xing ran out to persuade him. Coincidentally, he bumped into Zhao Luan's muzzle. How could young Master Zhao, who had long disliked this group of poor relatives, endure it? Relying on Zhao Wudi's support, he immediately strode towards Zhao Xing and gave him a slap. Explain my ass. This young master is teaching Yi Fei a lesson. What does it have to do with you? You are simply asking for a beating. That's right. You are indeed asking for a beating. When Yi Fei saw that Zhao Luan was about to hit Zhao Xing, he sneered. Suddenly, he stood in front of Zhao Xing and gave Zhao Luan a heavy slap. With a bang, Zhao Luan's palm was smashed. Yi Fei didn't stop slapping Zhao Luan's face. The bloody slap landed heavily on Zhao Luan's face, causing a bloody palm print to appear on young Master Zhao's face. Zhao Luan's whole body was already rolling to Zhao Wudi's feet. Take care of your good-for-nothing nephew. He dares to hit my elder. If there is a next time, I will directly take his life. Yi Fei coldly retracted his hand. These words frightened the surrounding warriors. Many of them looked at Yi Fei with pity. This brat didn't want his life anymore. He still dared to be so arrogant in front of Zhao Wudi. He was simply courting death. Yi Fei motherf asterisk cur, you hit me again. Third uncle, you have to uphold justice for me. Zhao Luan rolled to Zhao Wudi's feet. Only then did he react. He was actually hit by Yi Fei again in front of so many people. Young Master Zhao was almost angered to death. Zhao Wudi's expression immediately became extremely ugly. His cold gaze finally landed on Yi Fei. It was the gaze of a hunter sizing up his prey. Brat, you have guts. There are very few people who dare to make a move in front of me, Zhao Wudi. I will give you a chance. Take 3 of my moves. If you can take it, I will spare your life on account of Zhao Xing's face. If you can't, Zhao Wudi coldly said. Before he could finish his words, Yi Fei coldly waved his hand and said, 3 moves is too troublesome. Seeing that you are already so old, I will not bully you. Let's settle this in 1 move. If I lose, you can do whatever you want with me. If I win, I won't ask for anything else. But in the future, when the Zhao clan passes by this monarch pavilion, they must make a detour. Boom! A sudden clap of thunder. All the warriors present were frightened by Yi Fei's words. Making a detour in the monarch pavilion? What was the difference between this and slapping the Zhao clan's face? The most frightening thing was that this hothead actually wanted to settle this in 1 move with Zhao Wudi? How arrogant and egotistical was this? Chapter 547. Identity Exposed, Arrogant Brat. Third young master, you don't need to do anything. We can tear this junior to shreds. Hearing Yi Fei's request, Zhao Wudi didn't even need to do anything. The dozen or so Martial King experts behind him all roared and charged at Yi Fei. Zhao Wudi didn't object. Instead, he coldly stared at Yi Fei, as if he wanted to see through Yi Fei's strength. Seeing so many Martial King experts surrounding Yi Fei, Zhao Xing was so scared that cold sweat rolled down his back. Not good, Yi Fei, quickly run! Lu Chun and the others anxiously shouted. Unfortunately, they were too weak, not even Martial Kings. Of course, they couldn't see how terrifying Yi Fei's current cultivation was. Before the opposing Martial Kings could charge at him, Yi Fei had already charged forward with a cold face. Demonic kill, demonic burst. Boom, boom, boom. Countless pitch-black demonic fists were like exploding meteors. They were smashed by Yi Fei at full speed, causing the sky to darken and the earth to lose its light. In an instant, the group of Martial Kings were completely submerged. Sounds of people vomiting blood and screaming could be heard everywhere. The dozen or so Martial Kings of the Zhao family had already been beaten to the ground by Yi Fei, unable to crawl back up. This scene caused Zhao Xing and the others to be completely dumbfounded. Yi Fei, his cultivation. He actually reached Martial King so quickly? Zhao Xing's voice trembled a little as he spoke. The surrounding cultivators all sucked in a breath of cold air. This brat in front of them, they couldn't do it. Only Zhao Wudi's expression didn't change. He even let out a long sigh. 8th layer Martial King. At your age, you can be considered a genius. Very good, you are qualified to fight with me. However, it won't be decided in 1 move. How about we decide life and death in 1 move? Zhao Wudi smiled coldly. He didn't give Yi Fei any chance to object. A terrifying saber intent emerged from his body. Under this saber intent, Zhao Wudi's whole body emitted a bright light. He was like the sun as he rushed towards Yi Fei and waved his saber in a domineering manner. Not good, that's Zhao Wudi's domineering 3 blades. He actually used a killing move on this junior. Many martial artists who understood Zhao Wudi cried out in alarm. He understood that Zhao Wudi was no longer dealing with a challenge from a junior. Instead, he wanted to kill Yi Fei. Domineering 3 slashes, heaven and earth split. Zhao Wudi raised his battle blade. As he waved the blade, the light all over his body gathered into his blade intent, causing the might of the tyrant blade to rise to another level. Many of the 10th level martial monarchs watching the battle felt as if they would be torn apart by this blade just by sensing that aura. This was Zhao Wudi. This was Heaven and Earth Fisher, as expected of the northern region's Heaven's Pride. Many older martial artists sighed in their hearts when they saw Zhao Wudi's blade. Facing this blade, Yi Fei only sneered. "You want to kill me with such a trashy blade? So what if Heaven and Earth Fisher? As long as I want to, I can seal the heavens. Heaven's sealing sword." Yi Fei didn't pull out his sword. He only raised his sword finger and pointed forward. A huge sword vortex blocked Zhao Wudi's violent blade and weakened it. When Yi Fei was weakened to the extreme, he let out a roar and pointed his finger forward again. Rumble! The rainbow-like blade light was shattered by Yi Fei's bare hands. The shattered light dissipated between heaven and earth. The martial artists watching the battle were in an uproar. He blocked it. This kid actually blocked Zhao Wudi's all-out attack. Seeing that Yi Fei easily defeated his blade light, Zhao Wudi's self-esteem suffered a huge blow. "Junior, take my second blade, mountain and river collapse." He was the Northern Region's Heaven's Pride. Even if he was a former Northern Region's Heaven's Pride, he wouldn't allow himself to lose to a junior. Seeing that he couldn't kill Yi Fei with one blade, Zhao Wudi immediately followed up with another blade. This blade light was stronger and faster than the previous one. It also contained a terrifying destructive force. It shook the entire ground and started to crack. It quickly spread throughout the monarch pavilion. Obviously, the furious Zhao Wudi didn't only want to kill Yi Fei. He also wanted to take the opportunity to destroy the monarch pavilion where the Zhao clan resided. What a sinister person! Yi Fei sensed his opponent's intentions. Anger finally appeared on his face. This was a battle between him and Zhao Wudi. He didn't want to implicate others. Heaven-burying sword. Yi Fei didn't use his sword. His entire person was like an unsheathed sword that could bury heaven and earth and destroy everything. He took a step forward. The blazing sword light was like a raging flame that shook the heaven and earth. Zhao Wudi, who was holding his blade, was also shocked to find that in front of this mighty sword light, his blade light was suppressed once again. He couldn't move at all. For an elder who had been famous for a long time, this was something that Zhao Wudi absolutely couldn't tolerate. "I didn't expect this junior to be so difficult to deal with. Since that's the case, I'll use my strongest power to kill this person and take back the Phoenix Blood Sword." Nebula Extermination. The blade light on Zhao Wudi's body was extremely resplendent. The huge blade light tore through the sky, forming cracks that filled the sky. It was like countless blades that swept forward. Not good. That's the Nebula Extermination, the strongest blade technique of the Zhao clan. Zhao Wudi has already mastered it. Oh no, oh no. It's said that the strongest technique of the Zhao clan's tyrant blade is the Nebula Extermination. Its power is the sum of the previous 2 blades. It looks like a single blade, but it's actually more terrifying than 3 blades. It's a pity that this kid called Yi Fei overestimated himself. In the end, he still died in the hands of Zhao Wudi. Wait, Yi Fei also comprehended sword intent. Could it be that he's the recently famous North Sea Sword King? North Sea Sword King? Whoosh. Countless martial artists' gazes were fixed on Yi Fei. At this moment, many of them were shocked to discover a terrifying thing. That was that when facing Zhao Wudi, who was going all out, Yi Fei still hadn't unsheathed his sword. At this moment, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Yi Fei did something even more terrifying. He actually used his bare hands to grab the spatial crack in front of him. Playing with spatial cracks in front of me is simply displaying one's slight skill in front of an expert. Zhao Wudi, take this. Heaven-swallowing sword. Yi Fei finally made his move. He grabbed the spatial crack and condensed it into a huge black sword shadow. He fiercely swept it forward. Rumble! At this moment, the heavens and earth were split into two halves. Zhao Wudi's saber was also split into two halves from the tip of the saber. If it wasn't for Yi Fei's consideration that this was the Zhao clan's main residence and that killing this person would be too troublesome, he could have killed Zhao Wudi on the spot. Zhao Wudi, you've lost. Yi Fei coldly said. I've lost. I've lost. I, Zhao Wudi, have been unhindered in my entire life and have only lost to two people. One was the former Heaven's Chosen, the current Northern Plains Emperor. Now I've actually lost to you. Who exactly are you? You're definitely not some nobody. Zhao Wudi was unwilling to accept this as he glared at Yi Fei. He couldn't accept this fact. I'm sorry. I'm just a nobody. Yi Fei turned around and said in a deep voice. After that, he no longer looked at Zhao Wudi and prepared to return to the monarch pavilion with Zhao Sheng and the rest. Only when they were about to enter did Yi Fei remember something. He coldly reminded, Zhao Wudi, don't forget our agreement. In the future, when your Zhao clan passes by the monarch pavilion, you must take a detour. You. Chapter 548. Different attitudes, Yi Fei. It's only been a few years since we last met, yet you've already become an 8th-level martial king and defeated Zhao Wudi. Even when they saw Yi Fei enter the monarch pavilion, the royal clan of the Zhao country were still in a daze. Others might not know, but they knew very well. Just a few years ago, Yi Fei was only a half-step martial saint and was being chased by the heavenly Yin sect. But a few years later, not only did Yi Fei become an 8th-rank martial king, he even obtained the title of Northern Sea Sword King. After Zhao Sheng recovered from his shock, he immediately became excited. After all, Zhao Wudi was once a northern region's Heaven's Pride. Even if he had lost his Heaven's Pride halo, the fact that Yi Fei could defeat him proved that Yi Fei had the potential to become a Heaven's Pride and Zhao Sheng's foresight. Haha, I didn't misjudge you. Northern Sea Sword King, finally, an outstanding Heaven's Pride has appeared in our Northern Sea. Zhao Sheng praised Yi Fei. Uncle Zhao, don't praise me. Compared to those middle-ground geniuses, what kind of Heaven's Pride am I? I'm not even fit to carry their shoes. Yi Fei bitterly smiled and shook his head. Seeing the look of disbelief on Zhao Sheng's face, he couldn't help but repeat what Na Chai had told him to everyone. This naturally shocked Zhao Sheng and the others. What? The most monstrous genius in the Middle Continent was born with a cultivation of the martial emperor realm? That's simply heaven-defying. Sigh, I thought that our horizons had been broadened after coming to the main clan. But now, it seems that we're still frogs at the bottom of a well. No wonder ancestor Zhao Shenzhen and imperial uncle Zhao Qianjun left the northern region and risked their lives to enter the middle ground. Zhao Sheng sighed. Uncle Zhao, what did you say? The demonic Sword King didn't die? He even entered the middle ground? Zhao Sheng's words also shocked Yi Fei. While the monarch pavilion was lively, the crowd outside was also in an uproar. Especially when they saw that Zhao Wudi was actually injured and vomiting blood, the cultivators present were in an uproar. Who was Zhao Wudi? He was once a Heaven's Pride of the northern region, the Zhao clan's genius with the greatest hope of becoming Wu Jun. Even if he died midway, his Heaven's Pride halo had already faded. But the name of a man, the shadow of a tree. Zhao Wudi was still one of the strongest experts of the older generation of martial kings. However, such a powerful Zhao Wudi had actually been defeated by a nobody. Not to mention Zhao Wudi, even the other cultivators present had doubtful expressions on their faces. A warrior looked at Yi Fei's back and immediately said loudly, "It can't be wrong. He must be the North Sea Sword Monarch." "TSK, do I need you to tell me that? Only a genius can defeat Zhao Wuti. We've all heard of the other geniuses. Only the North Sea Sword Monarch rose to prominence recently. Speaking of the North Sea Sword King, he's not just a genius. I heard that he once forced Lin Tianjiao to retreat when they were at the same level. In the West Heavenly King City, he even killed Duan Lang, the second genius of the Beiyuan nation, in the midst of millions of soldiers. Even the death of the Golden Tribe King was said to have been done by the North Sea Sword King using some unknown method. As Yi Fei's identity was exposed, some well-informed cultivators immediately revealed Yi Fei's recent glorious deeds. Fortunately, Yi Fei didn't hear it. Otherwise, he would have been depressed to death. Who was so bored to dig up all his secrets? What? This Yi Fei actually forced Lin Tianjiao, a true heaven's pride, to retreat? No wonder I'm no match for him. Zhao Wuti didn't leave. Instead, he stayed on the spot to treat his injuries. Of course, he also heard these discussions and finally understood how important Yi Fei, whom he had looked down on before, was. The North Sea Sword Monarch forced Lin Tianjiao to retreat and killed Duan Lang. No matter which one of these three people, the Zhao clan would do their best to befriend him. What was hateful was that he actually believed Zhao Luan's lies and came to deal with Yi Fei. He even lost face. "Zhao Luan, you idiot! Who can't be offended? Why did you offend the heaven's pride who is most likely to become Wu Jun? I'll give you a chance. No matter what method you use, you must beg for the North Sea Sword Monarch's forgiveness and pull him back to our Zhao clan. Otherwise, you can just wait to be punished by the Patriarch when you return." Zhao Wuti angrily left. In any case, he was still a senior cultivator. Of course, he couldn't bring himself to apologize to Yi Fei. Thus, he simply threw this mess to Zhao Luan. After all, this was Zhao Luan's fault in the first place. "Third uncle, I don't want to apologize to him." Zhao Luan suddenly felt like crying. He understood that Zhao Wuti couldn't bring himself to apologize to Yi Fei. But could he, young Master Zhao, really do that? It had to be known that Yi Fei had humiliated him in front of everyone. It was already good enough that he didn't seek revenge on Yi Fei. But now, Zhao Wuti wanted him to apologize to Yi Fei. *CK that Yi Fei slapped me and humiliated me. Third uncle actually wants me to go in and apologize to that Yi Fei. He finally understood the meaning behind this. Zhao Luan was so angry that he almost fainted on the ground. But Zhao Luan didn't dare to oppose Zhao Wuti's words. He had only become the young master of the Zhao clan because of his status as the eldest son. In the Zhao clan, if there weren't 100 other young masters, there were at least 50. If he lost Zhao Wuti's support now, he would immediately be ostracized by the other brothers. Thus, he was extremely unwilling. Zhao Luan thought about it for a while and was about to walk in. But then, a figure appeared. It was much faster and more straightforward than Zhao Luan. "Which one of you is the North Sea Sword Monarch? The old and decrepit Lu clan's steward has come bearing a humble gift." A scholarly old man rushed into the monarch pavilion with a gift box. This gave the cultivators who hadn't left yet a fright. Good fellow, the Lu clan is really well informed. They actually took the initiative to pay a visit to the North Sea Sword Monarch. Humph, that's because the Lu clan knows how to conduct themselves. Unlike the Zhao clan, they actually pushed away such a powerful sword monarch. Damn, this Zhao Luan is crazy. The cultivator didn't even finish his sentence. When Zhao Luan saw the Lu clan's steward rush in, he became anxious. He didn't care about losing face anymore. He immediately took out a few bottles of pills and shamelessly rushed in. Brother Yi, what happened just now was purely a misunderstanding. Please listen to this young master, no, listen to my, Zhao Luan's, explanation. The The surrounding cultivators were dumbfounded. How much courage did one need to be so shameless to run in with a face full of smiles and beg for forgiveness after being slapped in the face? Of course, what they didn't know was that Zhao Luan was completely forced by Zhao Wudi. Although his words sounded nice, he actually wished that Yi Fei would die immediately. What? The Zhao clan and the Lu clan both want to see me? In the pavilion, Yi Fei was still preparing to ask Zhao Xing about Zhao Qianjun. Who would have thought that the Zhao clan and the Lu clan would react so quickly? Especially when he heard Zhao Luan's voice. Yi Fei was speechless. Was this Zhao clan's young master asking for a beating? Wasn't it enough? He actually took the initiative to come in and humiliate himself. Uncle Zhao, what do you think we should do about this? Yi Fei rarely socialized. Zhao Xing used to be an emperor, so he should be very familiar with such things. Zhao Xing nodded and analyzed objectively. These two clans should be trying to rope you in. Why don't you take a look at their conditions and then decide which one to accept? Yi Fei's eyes involuntarily flashed with a touch of light. This Uncle Zhao was indeed worthy of being an emperor. He was very good at scheming. Chapter 549. Lu family's invitation. While Yi Fei and Zhao Xing were talking, the steward of the Lu family was the first to walk in. He bowed to Yi Fei and said, "Old and decrepit Lu Fu, this is the steward of the Lu family. He is here on the orders of my master to pay a visit to the Sword Monarch of the North Sea. This is a small token of our appreciation." Yi Fei took the small wooden box from Lu Fu. When he opened it, he was shocked. The Lu family was really generous. They had given him 50 mid-grade spirit stones. This gift was not ordinary. One low-grade spirit stone could be exchanged for 10,000 spirit crystals. A mid-grade spirit stone could be exchanged for 100,000 spirit crystals. 50 mid-grade spirit stones could be exchanged for 5 million spirit crystals. Yi Fei immediately knew that the Lu family did not come here just to give him a simple gift. So, Yi Fei returned the spirit stones and said, "I appreciate your kindness, but I can't accept such a valuable gift." This. Steward Lu stared blankly. He hadn't expected Yi Fei to be able to refuse such a great offer. As expected of a newly risen chosen of the Northern Domain. He couldn't help but think even more highly of Yi Fei. Lu Fu's attitude was even more respectful. He smiled and explained, "Sword Monarch, there is no need to be confused. This is just a small token of our appreciation. If you don't accept it, the old and decrepit will not be able to explain it to my master." "Haha, if you can't explain it, then don't explain it. Don't forget where you are. This is the Imperial Pavilion. It belongs to the Zhao family. The Sword Monarch of the North Sea is also a guest of the Zhao family." Zhao Luan sneered as he barged in. He even said that the Imperial Pavilion belonged to the Zhao family. This made Zhao Xing and the other members of the royal family of the Zhao family unhappy. But in the end, they were of the same family. They could not say anything. Yi Fei looked at Zhao Luan with amusement and asked, "This is clearly my Uncle Zhao's property. Did you spend a single cent? How did the Monarch Pavilion become the Zhao clan's?" Zhao Luan said, "Brother Yi, you can't say it like that. We're all from the same clan. Besides, if it weren't for our main clan, the Monarch Pavilion wouldn't be what it is today. Brother Yi, I know that we didn't get along well at the beginning, but I, Zhao Luan, am a magnanimous person. I won't take it to heart. This is just a small gift." Zhao Luan smiled obsequiously at Yi Fei. He then took out some pills from his pocket and was about to give them to Yi Fei. Yi Fei was speechless when he saw the 2 bottles of pills. This thug is so insincere in his apology. Also, of all things, why did you give me this? What do you mean? Zhao Luan, forget about the apology. I don't need these 2 bottles of body-strengthening pills. You can take them back. Yi Fei said indifferently. At this time, everyone realized that the pills Zhao Luan took out were actually body-strengthening pills. Not to mention Zhao Xing, even the Lu clan's steward secretly shook his head. What? Body-strengthening pills? Oh no, in my desperation, I actually took out the things I prepared for the spring fragrance brothels lady. Zhao Luan was embarrassed and angry. Of course, he wouldn't admit that he took out the wrong things. Instead, he continued to thicken his skin and said, Hee, I'm just making the best of my mistake. I was just joking with Brother Yi. I already know my mistake. Brother Yi, can't you be a little more magnanimous and forgive me this once? Forgive you? Yi Fei almost laughed out of anger. This Zhao Luan wanted to kill him and steal his treasures from the beginning. After Yi Fei saw through him, he taught him a lesson. In the end, Zhao Luan didn't know how to repent and used Zhao Wudi to suppress him. If it weren't for someone recognizing his identity as the North Sea Sword Monarch, the Zhao clan would probably be trying to kill him right now. Now that he knew he couldn't win, he ran over and said a few words of apology without any sincerity. This Zhao clan was too full of themselves. Zhao Luan, if I called you a retard and told you to get out and eat shit, and then apologized to you, would you forgive me? Yi Fei deliberately provoked Zhao Luan. Motherf *Ker, what did you say? How dare you call me a retard? Zhao Luan was furious when he heard this. If it wasn't Yi Fei who said this, but someone else with Zhao Luan's personality, he would have already torn that person to pieces. How could he forgive him so easily? Zhao Xing, you bunch of ungrateful things. If it weren't for our main clan's help, you would have died along the way. Now that I'm in trouble, why aren't you saying a few good words for me? Zhao Luan didn't dare to be angry at Yi Fei, but he didn't care about Zhao Xing and the other branch clans. He naively thought that he could use Zhao Xing and the other branch clans to appease Yi Fei's anger. Even though he was thoroughly disappointed in the main clan, Zhao Xing's heart turned cold. He said coldly, First young master, did you help us? Why do I remember that when we came here to seek refuge, the main clan didn't even let us through the main door and sent us away? Yi Fei was shocked. He didn't expect that Zhao clan's royal family would end up like this when they returned to the main clan. It was no wonder Zhao Xing was angry. It was best not to have any contact with such a clan. Yi Fei didn't have any more misgivings. He pointed at the main door and said, Zhao Luan, I'll give you 3 breaths to get out of my sight. Remember, this is Monarch Pavilion. If you come here in the future, you have to take a detour. Boom. These words made Zhao Luan so angry that his face turned red. He almost pointed at Yi Fei and scolded him. He was the first young master of the Zhao clan. He had already thickened his skin to ask for forgiveness. In the end, Yi Fei didn't appreciate his kindness. Alright, Yi Fei, let's wait and see. You will definitely regret rejecting my Zhao clan's good intentions, Zhao Luan threatened angrily. Don't worry. Even if I reject your Zhao clan, there's still the Lu clan. Your Zhao clan is of high status. Uncle Zhao and I won't be able to reach your level. I wonder if the Lu clan is willing to accept us? Yi Fei said deliberately to anger Zhao Luan. Haha, as long as the Sword Monarch is willing, the Monarch Pavilion will be our Lu clan's honored guest in the future, Lu Fu said respectfully. Zhao Luan's face turned uglier than a pig's liver. He didn't say anything else. He just left with his men in a rage. Yi Fei, you have to be careful of Zhao Luan. If you offend the Zhao clan like this, they won't let you off so easily, Zhao Xing said telepathically. Uncle Zhao, don't worry. I don't care about the Zhao clan. However, do you think I should accept the Lu clan's invitation? Yi Fei said telepathically. After all, Zhao Xing and the others still had to survive in Skyscraper Ridge. If they offended the Zhao clan, it wouldn't be good to offend the Lu clan. Otherwise, even if Yi Fei wasn't afraid, Zhao Xing and the others wouldn't have an easy time here in the future. Zhao Xing smiled when he heard this. He said in a low voice, the Lu clan has a good reputation. A few years ago, The Lu clan allowed us to establish ourselves in the southern part of the city because of ancestor Zhao Xinjian and imperial uncle Qianjun. You can go and take a look at the Lu clan's invitation. I see. Steward Lu, I accept the Lu clan's invitation. I'll pay the Lu clan a visit now. Chapter 550. Lu Fian. At the same time as Yi Fei was heading to the Lu clan, Zhao Luan's face was red with anger as he returned to the Zhao clan's courtyard. Zhao Wudi was already waiting at the entrance. When he saw that Zhao Luan had returned alone and did not follow Yi Fei, he immediately walked over angrily and slapped Zhao Luan's face. Zhao Luan, you piece of trash. Didn't I tell you to apologize to Yi Fei and invite Yi Fei and Zhao Xing back to the Zhao clan no matter what? Third uncle, I already apologized very sincerely. However, that hateful Yi Fei did not accept it at all. He even insulted our Zhao clan and said that you are not even fit to carry his shoes. Not only did he refuse my apology, he even broke my hand. Zhao Luan had already expected that he would be punished when he returned. This person was truly ruthless. He actually broke his own hand on the way back to the Zhao clan. What? Yi Fei actually broke your hand? Our Zhao clan tried to reconcile with him out of goodwill, but he actually did not appreciate it. Zhao Wudi's expression turned cold. Seeing that Yi Fei did not appear and had even rejected the Zhao clan's invitation, dozens of 10th-level martial kings walked out from the courtyard. The two people in the lead had auras that were not much weaker than Zhao Wudi's. They were extremely close to being unrivaled martial kings. Hearing Zhao Luan's words and seeing his broken hand, the two of them were filled with anger. Zhao Luan's father even raised his hand and slapped Zhao Luan, saying, "Useless thing. All day long, other than bullying women, you have no other ability. I told you to trick a country bumpkin to come here and die, but you couldn't even do it." Zhao Luan was inexplicably slapped a few more times. Even though he was just acting, Zhao Luan was still incomparably angry. Many of the Zhao family's direct descendants saw Zhao Luan being beaten. Not only did they not dissuade him, they even took pleasure in his misfortune. They wished that Zhao Luan would suffer as much as possible. The other old man said to Zhao Wudi, "Wudi, this Yi Fei actually didn't fall for it. It seems like the people we have hidden here won't be of any use. What should we do?" What else can we do? That Yi Fei was able to kill Duan Lang and become a genius mostly because of the Phoenix Blood Sword. This thing originally belonged to my Zhao clan, so it definitely can't fall into the hands of an outsider. No matter what, I must take back the Phoenix Blood Sword. When Zhao Wudi thought of the humiliation of being defeated by Yi Fei, his eyes finally flashed with a trace of delayed resentment. When he mentioned the Phoenix Blood Sword, Zhao Wudi did not hide the greed in his heart. As long as I get the Phoenix Blood Sword, I'll have a way to recover my lost potential. At that time, I, Zhao Wudi, will once again become a genius of the northern region and step into the realm of the titled Wu Jun. Zhao Wudi's expression was incomparably excited. His words also made the Zhao clan's martial kings very excited. "Good Wudi. Since you have this confidence, we'll definitely support you." Bullshit Northern Sea Sword King. If our Zhao clan wants to kill him, it'll be no different from stepping on an ant. Many of the Zhao clan's martial artists revealed an ominous glint in their eyes. Only now did Zhao Luan, who was covering his face, realize that Zhao Wudi didn't want to reconcile with Yi Fei at all. Instead, he had set up a trap here, waiting for Yi Fei to take the bait. Zhao Luan's heart was filled with regret. If he had known earlier, he would have pretended to be a grandson and tricked Yi Fei over. Now, great. Yi Fei didn't come over. Not only did he disappoint his elders, but he also broke his own hand. Pooh. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Zhao Luan successfully fainted from anger due to his own stupidity. As the only clan in Mo Yun Ridge that could contend with the Zhao clan, the Lu clan's residence was extremely large. It was like a city within a city. However, the Lu clan's martial artists that came and went were not as arrogant as the Zhao clan's martial artists. Instead, they were humble and courteous. Even the 5 or 6-year-old children were holding books and reciting them. This made Yi Fei very surprised. As martial artists, they were martial artists, yet they were known for their scholarly heritage. This Lu clan was truly strange. They seemed to have sensed Yi Fei's surprise. Within the courtyard, a girl in a green dress walked over gracefully. She leisurely explained, "My Lu clan's ancestor was originally an ordinary scholar. He was wholeheartedly focused on taking the imperial examinations. However, by chance, he once saved a heavily injured martial king expert. That expert later became a titled expert Wu Jun. With the help of that senior, not only did our Lu clan become a scholarly clan, we even became a martial clan. Your Highness Sword King, this is our clan's young miss, Lu Fian. Young miss, this is the Northern Sea Sword King." Lu Fu bowed to Yi Fei and Lu Fian before tactfully retreating. "You are the Northern Sea Sword King?" Lu Fian looked at Yi Fei. She was a bit stunned. Yi Fei was simply too young. In the future, he was already an adult in his 20s. However, in the world of martial artists, Yi Fei was still a standard youth. He couldn't even be considered a youth. However, although he was young, Yi Fei had lived 2 lives. Although he was surprised by Lu Fian's graceful beauty, he was still able to maintain his composure. He looked at her with clear eyes and asked, "Young Miss Lu, you spared no expense to invite me over. Is there something you want me to do?" "Lu Fu told you?" "I guessed." Lu Fian was speechless. "You can even guess this? No wonder you can be so famous in the northern region at such a young age. If my younger brother was half as capable as you, I wouldn't have to worry so much." "Your younger brother?" Yi Fei raised his eyebrows. "Sword King, please come in. I will tell you slowly." Lu Fian led Yi Fei into the living room. Then she said in distress, "It's like this. I have a younger brother. He is young and impetuous. Half a year ago, he was angry with my father. In a fit of anger, he actually broke into a secret place. Since then, no one knows whether he is alive or dead. Therefore, I want to ask the Sword King to help me go to this secret place and save my younger brother. At that time, my Lu family is willing to pay the price of 1,000 mid-grade spiritual stones." "What? 1,000 mid-grade spiritual stones?" Yi Fei was shocked. Although he knew that the Lu family was rich, this was too rich. That was a whole 1,000 mid-grade spiritual stones. If they were all used to cultivate Saint Bodhi, Yi Fei was excited just thinking about it. However, he didn't rush to agree. Instead, he asked in a deep voice, "The Lu family is a big family. There should be a lot of 10th grade martial kings. Don't you have any way to save him?" "Why not? In order to save my younger brother, we have already lost 7 10th grade martial kings. In the end, we can't even get close to the secret place. If we continue to die like this, I am afraid that before we can save him, all the experts of the Lu family will die." Lu Fian's smile was gone. Her face was full of worry and pain. She stared at Yi Fei seriously and continued, "However, ordinary 10th grade martial kings can't get close to that place. But if you are a genius of the northern region like the Sword King, you can definitely break in. My Lu family has no other request. We only ask that the Sword King can save my younger brother. If you think that the spiritual stones are too little, we can add more." "Add more?" Chapter 551. Burning the Sky Style, How is it? "Sword King, did you agree to my request?" Lu Feiyan was very smart. When she saw Yi Fei's hesitant expression, she knew that Yi Fei was tempted. She immediately became impatient. Yi Fei could understand her impatience. After all, it was Lu Feiyan's younger brother who was in trouble. Besides, 1,000 spiritual stones was something Yi Fei could not refuse. "All right, I agree. What is your brother's name? Where is he trapped? Asked Yi Fei. Lu Feiyin immediately cried tears of joy when she saw that Yi Fei had really agreed. She immediately said, My brother is called Lu Zhaoyang. He is trapped in an underground maze. It is said that the maze is the tomb of an ancient martial emperor. Not only are his treasures buried in there is also a great emperor's sword technique. Lu Feiyin threw out a temptation that Yi Fei could not refuse. Yi Fei could not help but stand up in surprise. He said in surprise, Great Emperor's sword technique? Is the burning the sky style buried in there? You also know about the Great Emperor's sword technique? It was Lu Feiyin's turn to be surprised. The Great Emperor's sword technique was hidden in the skyscraper ridge. It had always been a secret of the Zhao clan and the Lu clan. Lu Feiyin would not have told Yi Fei this secret if she had any other choice. How could I not know about it? Actually, I came to the Zhao clan because of this sword technique. Yi Fei did not hide his purpose. He had known for a long time that the sky-destroying sword had 4 moves. They were the bury the sky style, the swallow the sky style, the burn the sky style, and the strongest exterminate the sky style. Each of the 4 sword techniques contained a supreme power. It could even allow a cultivator to enter the martial emperor realm while comprehending them. Back then, the demon emperor had come to the Tianwu continent to collect the sky-destroying swords. It could be seen how precious the great emperor's sword was. Now that he had encountered it, Yi Fei would naturally not let it go. Lu Feiyin admitted that there was indeed the burn the sky style in the underground maze. Yi Fei asked without hesitation, Miss Lu, where is the maze? Can you bring me there now? Now? Lu Feiyin was stunned for a moment. Only now did she realize that Yi Fei was actually a cultivation maniac. But the more he was like this, the happier she was. In this way, even if the Lu family didn't urge Yi Fei would still risk her life to break into the underground maze and rescue her brother. However, Yi Fei was also the North Sea Sword King who had recently become famous in the northern region. After all, seeing that Yi Fei was only in the 8th realm of the Martial King realm, Lu Feiyin was somewhat worried. No one knew the dangers of the underground maze better than the Lu family. Thus, Lu Feiyin finally made a decision. She shook her head and said to Yi Fei sincerely, Young Master Yi, now is not the time for you to enter the underground maze. After all, your cultivation level is still a bit low. Furthermore, the minimum requirement to enter the underground maze is 9th layer Martial King. 9th layer Martial King? That's a bit difficult. Yi Fei frowned. The later stages of the Martial King realm, the harder it was to raise one's cultivation level. Even with his 2nd grade Tian rank talent, his cultivation speed was incomparably fast. If he wanted to quickly raise his cultivation level to the 9th realm of the Martial King realm, it was not something that could be done overnight. Seeing Yi Fei's troubled expression, Lu Feiyin couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. Young Master Yi, don't worry. Before our Lu family met a genius like young Master Yi, we made some preparations. As she spoke, Lu Feiyin took out a spiritual herb that emitted an astonishing amount of spiritual energy. She handed it to Yi Fei and said, Young Master Yi, please take a look. This is a snow lotus from 3,000 years ago. After consuming it, it can raise one's cultivation level. It can be considered our Lu family's heirloom. If we hadn't met young Master Yi, I would have refined it myself and then gone to rescue my brother. As she spoke, Lu Feiyin was about to hand the spiritual herb to Yi Fei. Yi Fei hurriedly waved his hands. Miss Lu, how can this be? After all, this was the Lu family's heirloom. Why not? As long as you can save my brother, our Lu family can still take out a spiritual herb. I only have one request. Young Master Yi, please do your best to save my brother. Lu Feiyin looked at Yi Fei very seriously. This was her true motive. Sensing that Lu Feiyin wasn't faking it, Xiao Chao also jumped up and down inside the beast mark. She strongly requested Yi Fei to accept the spiritual herb. After all, when Yi Fei refined the spiritual herb, it was also beneficial to her. Yi Fei helplessly accepted the spiritual herb. His heart also felt heavy. Miss Lu, please don't worry. Since I have promised to save Lu Zhaoyang, I will definitely do my best to save him. After saying this, Yi Fei took the spiritual herb and followed Lu Fu, who had reappeared, to the Lu family's special cultivation area. However, he didn't immediately refine the spiritual herb. Instead, he called Xiao Chao out while no one was around. Xiao Chao, aren't you a spiritual herb that can take human form? Why do you still want me to refine the spiritual herb? He originally thought that Xiao Chao would be very disgusted with this kind of thing. Xiao Chao was indeed disgusted with it, but she was still a flower saint. When she heard Yi Fei's words, Xiao Chao rolled her eyes. She didn't say anything. Instead, she activated her spiritual energy and earnestly made hand gestures to the snow lotus. Then, Yi Fei was shocked to see that the 3,000-year-old snow lotus actually quickly bloomed and bore fruit, turning into a handful of lotus seed. After that, Xiao Chao very regretfully stored the biggest lotus seed inside, as if this would be able to prolong the life of the snow lotus. Xiao Chao didn't care about the other inferior lotus seeds. Not only did she grab a handful of them for Yi Fei, she even ate them with relish. Yi Fei felt depressed. This Xiao Chao was working so hard to eat the lotus seeds, but when it came to nurturing the Saint Bodhi, she was unwilling. She was clearly a glutton. However, Xiao Chao was actually able to convert all the spiritual energy of the snow lotus into the lotus seeds, forming a miraculous elixir. This flower saint's path seemed to be very powerful. Yi Fei didn't hesitate. He grabbed the lotus seeds and swallowed them. Immediately, spiritual energy fluctuations roared crazily in Yi Fei's body like a tsunami. It didn't take long for Yi Fei to feel that he was showing signs of breaking through to the 9th level of the Martial King realm. While Yi Fei was breaking through, a dignified old man walked out from behind the screen in the guest room. He looked at Lu Fian and sighed. "Daughter, don't you think you've gambled too much this time? That snow lotus has been in our Lu clan's collection for hundreds of years. Even you can't bear to use it, but you've given it to an outsider. What if he can't save Chaoyang or goes back on his words? Father, that won't happen. I don't have confidence in other geniuses, but I've heard of the North Sea Sword Monarch's character. Otherwise, he wouldn't have rushed to save Zhao Yu when he was still very weak. He also wouldn't have taken the risk to destroy 500,000 soldiers of the Beiyuan country in front of 1,000,000 soldiers." Lu Fian was very confident. Her confidence infected the Lu clan head. "Looks like you have high hopes for this Yi Fei. This is the instinct of our Lu family. Back then, if our ancestor hadn't coincidentally obtained a spiritual medicine and given it to that heavily injured senior martial king, our Lu family wouldn't have had its glory. Right now, I've given the snow lotus to Yi Fei. If Yi Fei is able to mature, it will definitely bring unimaginable benefits to our Lu family," Lu Fian very shrewdly said. Chapter 552. The ancestor came out of seclusion. It was a good thing that a smart person appeared in the family. But if that person was a girl, then it was a headache. Now that Lu Fei Yen thought highly of Yi Fei, the head of the Lu clan was happy but also worried for his daughter. Ahem, my daughter, sometimes it's better for women to pretend to be stupid. That way, it'll be easier for you to gain the favor of your in-laws. Look at you, always trying to be strong. Father is really worried about you," Lu family head said worriedly. Lu Fei Yen couldn't listen anymore. She shook her head and said, "Then I'll just not marry. If no one wants me, I'll be fine by myself." "What do you mean fine? A woman should find a man to rely on. But daughter, you're the pillar of the Lu clan. You can't marry off. It's best if you marry into the family. You have to find someone who's worthy of you." The head of the Lu clan frowned. Lu Zhaoyang's life was uncertain. The only person who could support the Lu clan was Lu Feiyan. No wonder he was so concerned about Lu Feiyan's marriage. Seeing that Lu Feiyan still didn't care, the head of the Lu clan continued. Originally, Zhao Wudi from the Zhao clan wasn't bad, but the age gap between you and him is a bit too big. The people of the Zhao clan are used to being arrogant, so it's hard to avoid trouble. However, this Sword King of the North Sea isn't bad. Not only is he a prodigy of the North, but he doesn't have the arrogance of those prodigies. If he agrees, he can marry into our Lu clan. The head of the Lu clan was thinking about his own plans. Hearing this, Lu Feiyan was embarrassed and angry. She glared at the head of the Lu clan and said anxiously, "Father, you're talking nonsense. I won't care about the Lu clan anymore." Then, Lu Feiyan turned around and left. "Daughter, don't go. I was wrong. Strange. Didn't you also think highly of Yi Fei? Why don't you reconsider? He's a good son-in-law." "Father, you..." Lu Feiyan almost vomited blood. She felt that the head of the Lu clan was really disrespectful. What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. Boom. Suddenly, the entire courtyard shook. Lu Feiyan turned around in disbelief and stared at Yi Fei's room. The Lu family head's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Did he sense wrongly? How long had this Yi Fei been in there? It didn't even seem like an hour. Could it be that the Sword Monarch of the North Sea broke through the 9th layer of the Martial King realm so quickly? As expected of the North region's geniuses, it seems like we've really aged. The head of the Lu family sighed. He had no intention of meeting Yi Fei. Instead, he gently patted Lu Feiyan's shoulder, encouraging his daughter to seize the opportunity and strive to find a good son-in-law for him. This made Lu Feiyan even more embarrassed and angry. Even her ears were dyed with a layer of red. However, she was still worried about Lu Chaoyang's safety. Sensing that Yi Fei might have broken through to the 9th layer of the Martial King realm, Lu Feiyan rushed out of the quiet room as fast as she could. At this moment, Yi Fei also walked out of the quiet room with a shocked expression on his face. Originally, the efficacy of the Snow Lotus could only help him break through to the 9th layer of the Martial King realm. However, after Xiao Chao turned the Snow Lotus into a Snow Lotus seed, the efficacy of the Snow Lotus increased by 10 times. Therefore, after absorbing the spiritual energy of the Snow Lotus seed, Yi Fei not only quickly broke through to the next level, but also directly reached the peak of the 9th layer of the Martial King realm. Lu Feiyan, who rushed over, naturally also noticed Yi Fei's cultivation. It was not the early 9th layer, but the 9th layer of the Martial King realm. She was also very shocked. "Young Master Yi, you, thank you, Miss Lu. I didn't expect the Snow Lotus to be so powerful. It actually directly helped me break through to the peak of the 9th layer of the Martial King realm." Yi Fei coughed and gave all the credit to the Snow Lotus. He also wouldn't expose the existence of a spiritual being like Xiao Chao. Seeing that Lu Feiyan still hadn't reacted, Yi Fei immediately changed the topic and asked in a deep voice, "Oh right, Miss Lu, now that my strength has reached the requirements to enter the maze, where is the maze? I'll go there now and rescue your brother." Hearing that Yi Fei wanted to rescue her brother now, Lu Feiyan didn't have time to think too much. After all, rescuing her brother was more important. She immediately handed a map to Yi Fei and said, "Young Master Yi, this is the map of the underground maze. You can go there directly. However, the vicious beasts outside the maze are very powerful. You must be careful." Lu Feiyan couldn't help but worry about Yi Fei. Yi Fei put away the map and said seriously to Lu Feiyan, "Don't worry, Miss Lu. Since I promised to save your brother, I will definitely do my best. Wait here for my good news." After speaking, Yi Fei directly flew out of the Lu clan and rushed towards the direction of the underground maze. This scene made Lu Feiyan stunned again. She almost suspected that she had become ugly. Other young geniuses wanted nothing more than to revolve around her every day. This Yi Fei, on the other hand, didn't even say more than 30 sentences to her, and he actually rushed to the maze in a hurry. This guy is really a cultivation maniac. If he can really save my brother, even if I give him my body, Lu Fian's face turned red and she didn't dare to continue thinking about it. After leaving the Lu residence, Yi Fei didn't know that as soon as he flew out, a pair of eyes were fixed on him. That person immediately reported the situation to the Zhao residence's meeting hall. In the meeting hall, the Zhao residence's martial kings were all present. When they heard that Yi Fei actually left the Lu residence and flew out of the city, Zhao Wudi simply wanted to raise his head and laugh. Ha ha, that idiot Yi Fei. If he had continued to stay in the Lu residence, we would have been a bit worried. Who would have thought that he would actually leave the city alone? Zhao Wudi laughed coldly. Then he said to the martial kings around him, "Uncles and brothers, whether or not I can obtain the Phoenix Blood Sword and regain my potential, I will have to rely on everyone's help." Haha, of course. Wudi, we watched you grow up. That hateful king of Northern Plains destroyed your foundation because of a small matter back then. Now that you have the chance to regain your potential, we will naturally not shirk our duty. The Zhao residence's martial kings all expressed their support for Zhao Wudi to make a move against Yi Fei. After all, Zhao Wudi was the Zhao residence's strongest genius. If Zhao Wudi could regain his potential and once again become a genius, or even a titled Wu Jun, it would be greatly beneficial to them and the entire Zhao residence. Of course, there were also people who were worried. An old Zhao residence's martial king stood out and said, "Everyone, this Northern Sea Sword King is not to be trifled with. When he doesn't have a sword, even you are not his match. If he takes out the Phoenix Blood Sword, it would have been better if this matter was not mentioned." When it was brought up, Zhao Wudi's originally complacent expression immediately turned ashen. No matter what, he was still an expert of the older generation. In the end, Yi Fei had defeated him without even taking out his sword. Zhao Wudi's heart was filled with shame and anger. Zhao Wudi was about to explode on the spot. However, before he could do anything, an old and conceited sneer came from outside. "Humph, he's just a cultivator from the Northern Sea. As long as he can help Wudi regain his potential and restore our Zhao residence's glory, you can do whatever you want. I don't believe that our entire Zhao residence cannot deal with a cultivator from the countryside." As he spoke, a white-haired old man walked in with his head held high. Seeing this person, the Zhao residence's martial kings were all shocked. "It's the old ancestor." The old ancestor was invited by Zhao Wudi? TSK, looks like Wudi is really going to rise. Haha, even the old ancestor is going to make a move. This time, the Northern Sea Sword King will have to bear the consequences. The old man's appearance caused the entire Zhao residence to become excited. Chapter 553. Poisonous Insect Domain. After leaving the Lu clan, Yi Fei followed the map and quickly arrived at the deepest part of Skyscraper Ridge. There were many barren hills here and there was very little vegetation. However, poisonous insects were everywhere. During the time he was hiding in the clouds and observing, he had already seen centipedes as large as mountains crawling on the ground. Their sharp backs were like a cluster of prismatic machetes that were connected to each other. Suddenly, the huge rocks at the top of the hill shook again. A strange spider covered in rocks ran down from the top of the hill in a group, trying to kill the centipede. These two groups of poisonous insects immediately started fighting on the ground. Blood and venom splattered everywhere, corroding the ground and creating potholes, emitting a strong poisonous gas. No wonder there is so little vegetation here. Cultivators and other vicious beasts are almost extinct. With the appearance of poisonous insects and plants, no other creatures would dare to live in this area. Yi Fei observed for a while and discovered that there were a lot of poisonous insects here. They were also very terrifying. If a 10th layer martial king was careless, he could be surrounded by poisonous insects and die. I wonder who built this maze on top of poisonous insect. That brat Lu Xiaoyang just had to force his way in. No wonder the Lu clan paid such a huge price to hire me. Yi Fei shook his head. Although this place was dangerous, since he had agreed to save Lu Xiaoyang, he would not go back on his word. Whoosh! While the group of rock spiders were still fighting with the centipede, Yi Fei suddenly swooped down. A huge sword light mercilessly slashed down. Boom! 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 His sword light left a huge gully in the ground. At the same time, it also killed all the fighting centipedes and spiders. This was the only way Yi Fei could successfully enter the territory of the poisonous insects. As for flying in the sky, Yi Fei was not that flashy. Furthermore, the poisonous insects were not like the vicious beasts. Many of them could fly. If they discovered someone flying in the sky, the thousands of poisonous insects hidden here would immediately surround Yi Fei and kill him. Yi Fei walked carefully on the ground. Along the way, he found many traces of human warriors fighting with poisonous insects. These should be left behind by the Lu clan's martial king experts fighting with the poisonous insects. There are corpses up ahead. At this time, Yi Fei had already entered the depths of the poisonous insect territory. Here, the traces of battle became more frequent. Finally, on a protruding rock, Yi Fei found a corpse. Looking at the clothes of the corpse, it should be a 10th level martial king of the Lu clan who died in the battle. The Lu clan did not even have the corpse of this person and retreated without taking the lead. This showed how dangerous the territory of the poisonous insects was. In the end, I was entrusted by someone. Let me help you lay to rest. Yi Fei walked over, wanting to bury this martial king senior who had died in battle. Squeak squeak. Xiao Qiao, who was inside the beast mark, suddenly felt something and hurriedly reminded Yi Fei. Whoosh! At the same time, a row of cold light slashed towards Yi Fei's head. It was only a few centimeters away from Yi Fei's neck. If not for Xiao Qiao's reminder, Yi Fei would not have realized that this seemingly peaceful area was actually so dangerous. He focused his eyes and realized that the one who had attacked him was a pitch-black poisonous praying mantis. It was cunningly hiding behind the corpse of the martial king senior. Only then did Yi Fei realize that the poisonous praying mantis had deliberately placed the martial king's corpse here in order to attract its prey. What a sinister poisonous insect! Let me see how strong you are. Yi Fei moved his sword finger and quickly pointed forward. A loud clang was heard and the poisonous praying mantis revealed a mocking expression. It crossed the sickles on its forelimbs and blocked Yi Fei's sword qi. Whoosh! Immediately after, the enraged poisonous praying mantis disappeared in front of Yi Fei. Without a sound, the pitch-black sickles turned into green poisonous blades and slashed towards Yi Fei from the side. Yi Fei did not move at all. He still pretended to look around for the poisonous praying mantis. However, he was laughing coldly in his heart. Do you think that being invisible is useful? As long as you have spiritual energy, you can't escape Xiao Qiao's senses. Boom! Yi Fei activated the power of the beast mark. His body's speed suddenly increased to the limit. The moment the green sickles slashed towards him, his body suddenly turned and rushed from the side to the front. Devouring sword intent. Slash! Boom! A huge sword shadow fell, creating a huge trench in the ground. The poisonous praying mantis that had tried to sneak attack him immediately widened its eyes in horror and fell to the ground. Even until its death, it did not understand how Yi Fei had seen through its invisibility. Xiao Qiao, well done. Yi Fei praised Xiao Qiao. Xiao Qiao immediately came out and stretched out her small white hand towards Yi Fei. No way, she wanted to eat candied haws again. Damn little hay, look at how you've led a pure and innocent girl astray. Yi Fei's face darkened. It wasn't easy for him to bury the martial king who had died in battle. After thinking for a while, he walked over and cut off the poisonous praying mantis pair of sickles. This thing was extremely sturdy, and could even block his sword qi. It was considered a good treasure. Even if he didn't need it, it would be good to bring it back to his family Yi. Coincidentally, he remembered that Grand Elder Yi Chao was an expert in using dual blades. These two poisonous sickles were just right for him. After the poisonous praying mantis sneak attack, Yi Fei became more cautious. During this time, he also encountered groups of red ants that tried to surround Yi Fei like a tide. Yi Fei also saw mosquitoes and flies that were as big as buffaloes. They covered the sky and covered the earth, besieging other poisonous insects. This made Yi Fei's heart palpitate with fear. In this kind of situation, not to mention a 10th Heaven Martial King, even an unrivaled Martial King would find it difficult to move an inch. He wondered if Lu Chaoyang had died after entering this place. There seemed to be words in front. After walking a bit further, Yi Fei suddenly saw a line of words written in blood on a huge boulder. "Big sister, don't come and save me. This place is extremely dangerous. Unless you're a chosen, you can't save me." It's Lu Chaoyang's words? That kid actually didn't die. Could it be that he entered the stone forest after being chased by the poisonous insects? Yi Fei was very surprised. He looked at the large stone forest in the distance. He saw that it was a huge and strange stone forest. Every blade of grass and every tree was vivid and lifelike, but they had all turned into stone. It was as if the living vegetation had all turned into stone overnight. To be honest, Yi Fei felt his hair stand on end when he saw this scene. Sealing plants in ice was something that many cultivators could do. However, to directly turn an entire forest into a stone forest like this, Xiao Chen had to do it. This method could only be described as unimaginable. According to the description on the map, this is the entrance to the underground maze. After passing through this stone forest, I will be able to enter the real maze. However, looking at this strange and eerie stone forest, Yi Fei had a bad feeling. He also believed that as the strongest families in Skyscraper Ridge, the Zhao family and the Lu family would spare no expense to explore such a strange stone forest. Chapter 554. Ghost soldiers blocking the road. Yi Fei still did not know that this stone forest was a forbidden area in the entire Skyscraper Ridge. Any cultivator who entered this place would most likely die, even if they knew that there was a huge secret in the stone forest. Only the ancestors of the Zhao family and the Lu family had entered the underground maze by chance. This place had become a forbidden area for the Lu family and the Zhao family. That was why Lu Fian was so worried when she learned that Lu Zhaoyang had entered this place. They walked and stopped. The stone forest kept changing, but they still could not find the entrance to the underground maze. Instead, the surrounding air became colder and colder. Occasionally, they could see the corpses of cultivators who had entered this place. Some were from the Zhao family, some were from the Lu family, and some were from other cultivators who had taken advantage of the chaos and rushed in. Most of them had died here before they could even see the entrance to the maze. The white bones had started to rot, and the ground was covered in dust when they stepped on it. That's not right. This dust. I clearly passed by this place. Why am I back at the same place now? Yi Fei was shocked. One had to know that he was a 10th level Martial King. Even if he had not reached the level of an unrivaled Martial King, he should not have taken the wrong path so easily. Furthermore, even if he had taken the wrong path, wouldn't Xiao Chao, who was in the beast mark, warn him? But now, not only had Yi Fei taken the wrong path, but he had also returned to the same place. What was more frightening was that Yi Fei could clearly see a pair of footprints in the dust of the corpses. A pair of footprints that did not belong to him. Who is it? Yi Fei shouted. Sword light shot out from his eyes as he quickly looked around. Xiao Chao also came out of the beast mark curiously and looked left and right. He bit his finger with a confused look on his face. Xiao Chao pulled Yi Fei's ear. indicating that she was confused. This made Yi Fei even more surprised. Even Xiao Qiao, a spiritual being, was unable to sense the enemy's location. However, this pair of footprints really existed. Whoosh! A strange wind suddenly blew in the quiet stone forest. The sound of the wind blowing in the forest could be heard from all directions. Xiao Qiao was terrified. This was the stone forest. Even the grass and trees had turned into stone. How could there be the rustling of leaves when the wind blew? Yi Fei's expression also darkened. Xiao Qiao, hurry up and enter the beast mark. Don't come out until I tell you to. This stone forest was too strange. It was so strange that it made Yi Fei's hair stand on end. Xiao Qiao also obediently went into the beast mark. At the same time, she entered the beast mark. Yi Fei suddenly felt a cold touch on his shoulder. It was a cold hand that silently pressed down on the beast mark on his shoulder. It was still in a grabbing motion. Obviously, the owner of this hand had wanted to grab Xiao Qiao. It was only because Xiao Qiao was alert and entered the beast mark in advance that he managed to escape. Yi Fei and Xiao Qiao hadn't sensed any of this before, nor had they noticed anyone approaching them. There could only be one conclusion. The person who attacked them wasn't human at all. What's that? Yi Fei was puzzled, but he didn't react in the slightest. When he sensed the hand on his shoulder, his body was already emitting a bright golden light. Yi Fei's golden body of the war demon was instantly launched and successfully blocked the follow-up attack of this hand. However, Yi Fei was still a step too late. In the end, his body was also hit. It was this hit that caused his divine soul to waver and his entire body to turn cold. He felt as if his entire body was frozen. Creak! The owner of this hand didn't seem to expect Yi Fei to react so quickly. He quickly retreated a distance and crushed a leg bone on the ground. At this moment, Yi Fei finally regained his senses. He looked at the thing behind him and couldn't help but gasp, "What the hell is this?" He saw that the person who ambushed him was actually a soldier wearing tattered armor. This soldier's face was pale and half of his face was rotten. There were even maggots wriggling inside. This was the thing that hit Yi Fei just now. Yi Fei felt a chill run down his spine. Wait a minute. Chilling aura. I think I've heard of this before. Roar. Realizing that Yi Fei had discovered him, the terrifying soldier in front of him suddenly went crazy. Inexplicably, the sound of war drums reverberated in the air. It was as if thousands of soldiers and horses were shouting. The quiet stone forest suddenly turned into a tragic battlefield. It wasn't just the strange soldier. The ground of the stone forest also started to leave. Extremely dense gloomy aura was emitted from the ground and quickly condensed into the appearance of soldiers. However, these soldiers all looked terrifying. Some of them had their heads chopped off, some had their arms and legs broken, some had their intestines dragged on the ground, and some had broken weapons stuck in their body. The only similarity was that these soldiers all had a strong murderous aura. It was like a heavy dark cloud that caused the air to freeze. Een soldiers. They are ferocious Een soldiers formed by the souls of soldiers. Yi Fei finally realized what these things were. They were the souls of soldiers who had died in battle. After that, they were controlled by evil spirits and condensed into Een soldiers and Een generals. It was like the saying in the secular world that soldiers formed from beings were actually Een soldiers and Een generals refined by evil spirits through special means. They were filled with murderous intent when they were alive and resentful after death. They were the favorite tools of evil spirits to harm others. Of course, some experts also liked to use these Een soldiers to guard their graves. Some of the more powerful Een soldiers could also use the spiritual chi of the experts' graves to cultivate. Eventually, they would transform into powerful Een demons. Yi Fei didn't expect that Een soldiers would appear in this stone forest. No wonder he couldn't sense them. Could it be that this was the grave of a martial sage? It was said that only experts at the martial sage level and above would have soldiers and generals form in their graves after they died. Roar. A total of 300 soldiers appeared. Under the command of a powerful general, they formed a military formation and charged silently and quickly at Yi Fei. 300 snow-white long spears pierced towards Yi Fei's body. Yi Fei's expression turned cold. The first time I was caught off guard. The second time, will your attacks still work? Die. Sword light shot out in all directions like the roaring of waves. However, the strange thing was that the soldiers and generals in front of him weren't afraid. Many of them even revealed cruel smiles. The long spears continued to pierce towards Yi Fei silently. Boom! Yi Fei's sword shadows pierced through the bodies of the soldiers and didn't cause any harm to them. However, at the same time, the cold long spears pierced Yi Fei's golden body. Other than making his skin feel unusually cold, they couldn't harm his body at all. In this confrontation, neither side could do anything to the other. Yi Fei and the soldiers were stunned. How unlucky! My true essence attacks are actually ineffective. No wonder so many cultivators who came here in the past all died here. This underground maze is indeed strange. Yi Fei was very depressed. Only now did he realize how difficult it was to deal with these soldiers. Since these soldiers couldn't attack him, he couldn't be bothered to continue wasting his true essence. He simply ignored these soldiers and planned to continue walking forward. Boom! Chapter 555. Entrance to the maze. Damn, are you guys done yet? Yi Fei was very depressed. He was only here to save people, not to dig up graves. Why did this group of soldiers not let him go? However, these soldiers were really strange. When they realized that Qi did not work, they could even turn into skeleton soldiers to deal with him. It's a pity that you don't have a physical body. I can't do anything to you. However, if you possess skeletons, get up. Yi Fei's expression was cold. He ignored the skeleton claws that were grabbing onto his legs and forced himself to move forward. Boom! The ground cracked inch by inch under Yi Fei's footsteps, revealing a skeleton soldier glowing with green light. However, before the soldier could recover from its shock, Yi Fei's figure flashed across the ground. Bam! Another stomp. This skeleton soldier was already smashed into pieces by Yi Fei. However, the soldiers guarding the entrance were not very intelligent. Even though they knew that Yi Fei was not to be trifled with, they still charged forward and possessed skeletons to charge at Yi Fei. How annoying! Bury the heavens, suppress them! Yi Fei was enraged. He knew that the soldiers were formed from Qi. If he could not find their source, he would not be able to kill them. He did not want to waste time and used the power of the Sky Destroyer's sword to imprison all the soldiers on the ground. At the same time, Yi Fei charged deeper into the stone forest at his fastest speed. This time, without the obstruction of the soldiers, Yi Fei successfully passed through the stone forest and found the real entrance to the underground maze. He did not enter immediately. Instead, he looked warily at the two stone soldiers standing at the entrance. What shocked Yi Fei the most was that these two soldiers were wearing the uniforms of the Imperial Guards of Zhao's imperial city. This made Yi Fei's expression turn strange. Zhao's soldiers? Could it be that the martial sage buried here came from the Zhao nation? Yi Fei thought for a while and found it funny. If a martial sage appeared in Zhao, the entire North region would be turned upside down. How could the North Sea be looked down upon by the other countries in the North region? Furthermore, Yi Fei had never heard of a martial sage appearing in Zhao. These martial sages shouldn't be from the state of Zhao. However, these two soldiers are clearly wearing the clothes of the state of Zhao. What is going on here? Yi Fei did not dare to act rashly. Instead, he carefully looked at the two soldiers. With just one look, he could see many problems. Firstly, there were traces of battle on these two soldiers. Furthermore, Yi Fei found a very luxurious piece of cloth under the feet of one of the soldiers. I remember Lu Fian said that Lu Zhaoyang was wearing a red robe when he barged in. It was very similar to the cloth on the ground. Could it be that Lu Zhaoyang had fought with these two soldiers before? Yi Fei was even more curious. He tried to throw a stone into the distance. There was no reaction. Hence, he took a step towards the entrance of the underground palace. Boom! Without a sound, one of the soldiers actually moved. It was clearly a stone statue, but its movements were as agile as a martial arts expert. It charged towards Yi Fei's stone sword, emitting a strong killing intent. The other soldier did not move. It only quickly drew the stone bow in its hand and shot a terrifying rain of arrows. It did not differentiate between friend and foe. Ding, 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 ding. The two soldiers' defenses were very strong. The rain of arrows could not hurt them at all. Instead, it caused great damage to human martial arts practitioners. At this moment, Yi Fei's battle demon golden body's strong defense was also displayed. Facing the rain of arrows, Yi Fei did not dodge. Instead, he roared and strode forward. Boom! The stone statue Bing Yong's stone sword slashed down fiercely. Yi Fei's lips curled into a cold smile. He suddenly grabbed the stone sword in the stone statue Bing Yong's hand with his bare hands. This scene instantly stunned the two soldiers. Clearly, they had never met a martial arts practitioner like Yi Fei, who could take their attacks head-on and come out unscathed. The stone statue Bing Yong's attack paused for a moment. Yi Fei immediately took advantage of this and used his strength to snatch the stone sword master from the stone statue Bing Yong. With a flip of his hand, an ancient sword light flashed. Bang! The stone sword and the stone statue Bing Yong's head shattered at the same time. A round spiritual stone with runes carved on it rolled out. Yi Fei picked up the spiritual stone. His eyes flashed with understanding. As expected, the Yin soldiers outside and the soldiers here are all here to protect this underground palace. But, before coming here, Lu Feiyan did not say that there were Yin soldiers and stone statue Bing Yong here. Since Lu Feiyan wanted to save Lu Zhaoyang at all costs, she would not purposely hide this information. Could it be that the stone statue Bing Yong appeared after Lu Zhaoyang entered? Could it be that the kid triggered some mechanism inside? Yi Fei guessed. He casually walked to the other soldier, who shot the arrow and shot his head. Without hesitation, he stepped into the underground palace. Lu Feiyan's map was completely useless here. Actually, the Lu family and the Zhao family's exploration of this palace was very limited. Apart from the first time when the Lu family and the Zhao family worked together and obtained some benefits in the palace, there was no other exploration. In the next few hundred years, the two families had explored separately and suffered heavy losses. Over time, this place became a forbidden area. At the very least, from the dust in the underground palace, no martial artists had entered this place for many years, except for Lu Zhaoyang. This underground palace is so big. I just don't know where Lu Zhaoyang is trapped. Yi Fei walked into the palace and wandered around. He did not find any trace of Lu Zhaoyang. Unfortunately, the palace was ridiculously big. If he did not know how the palace worked, he might not be able to find Lu Zhaoyang even if he searched for a year. Yi Fei had no choice but to call out Xiao Qiao. Xiao Qiao, help me sense if Lu Zhaoyang is dead. Xiao Qiao did not know Lu Zhaoyang, but she was naturally sensitive to spiritual energy. As long as there was spiritual energy in here, Xiao Qiao should be able to sense it. Xiao Qiao did not say anything. She just persisted and continued to reach out her hand to Yi Fei. Yi Fei was so angry that he wanted to beat her up. This was obviously extortion. I'll buy you 20 sticks of Tonghulu later, Yi Fei said gloomily. No, I must buy 200 sticks. Xiao Qiao gestured quickly with an expectant look. She even swallowed her saliva unconsciously. Yi Fei's face darkened. Deal. Help me sense it quickly. Xiao Chao smiled with satisfaction. Then she waved her hand and pointed in a certain direction, indicating that there seemed to be a living thing there. Yi Fei was delighted. Xiao Chao, are you sure there's a living person there? It seems that Lu Zhaoyang is not simple. He could enter the maze and be trapped here for half a year without dying. But what did he find in here? Yi Fei followed Xiao Chao's directions and quickly walked over. Then he sensed that there was a strong resistance in front of him. It seemed to be preventing him from approaching the core area of the maze. Chapter 556. Lu Chaoyang. There was no need to guess. Yi Fei knew that he was Lu Chaoyang. The strange thing was that the resistance outside was so strong that even Yi Fei couldn't break in without using the Phoenix Blood Sword. Yet, Lu Chaoyang was able to do it. This didn't make sense. Lu Chaoyang, who was trapped at the entrance of the small world, also sensed that someone was approaching. He turned around in surprise. Who are you? How did you find this place? Lu Chaoyang's eyes were filled with vigilance. This underground maze had existed for thousands of years. It was the biggest secret of the Zhao and Lu families. Now that an outsider had broken in, Lu Chaoyang couldn't help but emit a dangerous aura. You must be Lu Chaoyang. Don't be nervous. Your sister asked me to save you. Yi Fei felt Lu Chaoyang's hostility and could only gloomily explain. Then he asked, How did you get in? Can you come out on your own? Lu Chaoyang didn't answer. He only looked at Yi Fei with an even more vigilant gaze. He shook his head and said, My sister sent you? Do you have any proof? I don't have any. Yi Fei scratched his head. Lu Fian only asked him to save someone. She didn't give him anything to prove his identity. He simply took out the map and said, I don't care if you believe me or not. This is the map of the maze that Lu Fian gave me. You don't need to explain. Go back and tell my sister that I'm fine. Once I break the formation here, I'll naturally be able to leave. Lu Chaoyang didn't have any intention of talking to Yi Fei. After he finished speaking, he turned around and didn't look at Yi Fei again. He even muttered in a low voice, My sister is too much. I already said that if you're not a genius of the North region, you can't save me. She actually sent a 9th layer Martial King to make me laugh. Me? Make you laugh? Yi Fei had already walked a long distance against the resistance. He just happened to hear Lu Chaoyang's muttering. He was instantly speechless. It seemed that this kid was quite arrogant. His voice also gave Lu Zhaoyang a fright. When he turned around again, his face was already filled with shock. You can actually withstand half of the resistance here with just your physical body? One had to know that the resistance of this labyrinth was extremely frightening. Even a 10th Heaven Martial King would find it difficult to move a single step after entering. Those below the 9th Heaven Martial King would die as soon as they entered. Yi Fei's cultivation level was clearly lower than his, and he wasn't one of the northern region's prodigies that he was familiar with. Yet, he was able to withstand half of the resistance on foot. His physical body was simply too terrifying. Lu Zhaoyang, who was trapped inside, suddenly had some interest in Yi Fei. Perhaps it was because he had been trapped for half a year and was bored to death. Lu Zhaoyang turned around again and asked, What's your name? Yi Fei. Yi Fei? Is there such a person among the geniuses of the North region? I don't think I've heard of him before. Lu Zhaoyang was extremely speechless. His heart had suffered a certain degree of blow. He was still unwilling to give up. Did you barge in alone? I don't like to bring burdens with me. Yi Fei's words were very direct. Lu Zhaoyang almost vomited blood when he heard this. This person actually treated the Lu family's experts as burdens? They were not familiar with each other. After chatting for a while, both of them fell silent. Lu Zhaoyang just looked at Yi Fei. As for Yi Fei, he naturally exerted all his strength and continued to move forward against the resistance. However, He realized that the resistance of this labyrinth was very strange. The deeper he went, the greater the resistance. However, Lu Zhaoyang was not affected by the resistance at all. He sat cross-legged at the entrance of the small world. Yi Fei frowned slightly. It seemed that 2/3 of the way was his limit. To completely pass through this layer of resistance, he had to use the Phoenix Blood Sword. However, it was a little risky to use the sacred weapon in front of Lu Zhaoyang. It was fine if this person had a good character, but if he met someone with a bad character, Yi Fei couldn't help but hesitate. While he was hesitating, Lu Zhaoyang spoke again after a moment of silence. I can help you enter. However, once we enter, we won't be able to solve the mystery here. We won't be able to leave and can only continue to be trapped here. Are you sure you want to enter? I'm sure. Yi Fei nodded. He wouldn't give up so easily just because of the sky-burning technique. Alright, take it. It can transport you to the small world. Lu Zhaoyang nodded. Suddenly, he threw a red light at Yi Fei. He caught it and saw that it was a red token. There was an evil spirit carving on it. It looked quite familiar. However, Yi Fei didn't have time to think. He held the token in his hand, and the surrounding resistance suddenly turned into a pushing force that pushed him towards the entrance of the small world. Brother Yi, be careful. There's a terrifying sword array inside. You'll die if you enter. Lu Zhaoyang was already prepared. He quickly blocked Yi Fei to prevent him from being pushed in. Sword array? Lu Zhaoyang, what's going on inside? Yi Fei stood beside Lu Zhaoyang curiously. He realized that after entering, the pushing force of the token disappeared. The surrounding resistance turned into an omnipresent resistance that completely trapped him and Lu Zhaoyang. It seemed to be forcing them into the small world. Yi Fei was even more confused. Lu Zhaoyang hadn't seen anyone for a long time and was bored. Hence, he explained to Yi Fei enthusiastically, Brother Yi, don't underestimate this maze. It's very likely that this is the tomb of a heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. It might even contain his legacy. That's why you're here? And then you got trapped? Yi Fei understood why he knew it was dangerous. Lu Zhaoyang wanted to enter too. This was the tomb of a heavenly Grandmaster Grand Sage. If news of this spread, the entire northern region would be in an uproar. That's more or less it. However, I'm not trapped. I'm just staying here to cultivate. As long as I can think of a way to break the sword array inside, I'll definitely be able to get out. I think this must be a test that the Martial Sage Senior set for us juniors. If we pass, we'll definitely be able to obtain his legacy. Then we'll be rich. Lu Zhaoyang was beaming with joy as he spoke. However, Yi Fei observed his words and actions. He felt that although Lu Zhaoyang was young and impetuous, he was easy to get along with. He shouldn't be a bad person. He also asked with interest, there's a sword array inside. Does that mean that we can enter the small world through the sword array? That should be the case. When I received the token, it said so. Lu Zhaoyang pointed at the token he gave Yi Fei with uncertainty. Yi Fei suddenly felt like scolding him. This idiot just randomly got a token and barged in. Didn't he prepare in advance? Brother Yi, why do you look so pale? Are you worried that you won't be able to get out? Don't worry, I'm here. You can help me. Perhaps if we combine our powers, we might be able to break the sword array inside. Lu Zhaoyang thought that Yi Fei was afraid and comforted Yi Fei generously. Yi Fei was speechless. He looked at Lu Zhaoyang's tattered clothes and asked, Have you barged into this sword array before? How's the power inside? Lu Zhaoyang suddenly pointed at the entrance of the small world and scolded loudly, Damn it! That stupid token said that we could enter and obtain treasures after breaking the sword array. However, when I came in, I realized that the sword array was a trap. The sword chi inside has already connected to the entire underground maze. As long as the maze exists, the sword chi in the sword array will multiply endlessly. If one enters, one dies. If two enter, two die. Yi Fei didn't expect Lu Zhaoyang to be so naive. He probably ran in without distinguishing the real one after getting the token. Chapter 557. A familiar sword formation. Yi Fei was speechless at Lu Zhaoyang. However, there was nothing he could do. Since he had promised Lu Fian that he would save Yi Fei, he had to do it. Staring at the entrance of the maze, Yi Fei stopped Lu Zhaoyang, who was still cursing, and said, "Stop cursing. Save some energy. Breaking the sword formation is more important. Follow behind me. I will be the main attacker. You can do whatever you want." After saying that, Yi Fei walked towards the entrance of the pocket dimension. Lu Zhaoyang looked at Yi Fei with a strange expression. He pointed at himself and said, "You will be the main attacker and I will do whatever I want? Where did my sister find such a person? He really doesn't know his own strength. I will follow behind you first. Let's talk after you suffer enough." Therefore, Lu Zhaoyang followed behind a little sinisterly. He couldn't wait for Yi Fei to be defeated inside. Lu Zhaoyang didn't think that Yi Fei could break through the sword formation with his strength. "Brother Yi, you have to be careful. This sword formation is connected to the entire underground maze. As long as the maze isn't destroyed, the sword formation will continue to grow." Lu Zhaoyang couldn't help but remind Yi Fei. Yi Fei nodded slightly. He felt that Lu Zhaoyang was someone worth befriending. After looking at the entrance of the pocket dimension carefully, Yi Fei made up his mind and walked in first. Lu Zhaoyang subconsciously distanced himself from Yi Fei. It was obvious that he was afraid of the sword formation inside. Clang! Sensing an outsider's intrusion, the interior of the pocket dimension was silent. A bright sword light swept down, wanting to kill Yi Fei. Boom! Yi Fei snorted coldly. Suddenly, a bright golden light appeared on his body. His fist was like a golden sun as it smashed the sword light into pieces. His action was like poking a hornet's nest, because at the same time that Yi Fei smashed the sword light, 1, 2, 3 hundreds, thousands of sword lights, like a rain of light, like silk, like a torrential rain, filled the entire pocket dimension. It filled the entire small world. Only then did Yi Fei realize that this was no small world. It was clearly a space filled with sword qi. This place was filled with berserk sword qi. Even a 10th level martial king would not be able to hold on for long and might die. After all, when the sword aura space was activated, the entire underground maze shook. Yi Fei didn't need to ask to know that Lu Zhaoyang was telling the truth. The person who had set up this sword array was extremely brilliant. He had actually managed to perfectly fuse the sword aura space with the entire underground maze. However, the more Yi Fei looked at this sword formation, the more familiar it seemed. He didn't even need to observe it carefully. In his mind, he could already visualize the trajectory of the sword qi. Under Lu Zhaoyang's incredulous gaze, Yi Fei took a step forward and dodged to the side. The 1,000 sword lights miraculously brushed past Yi Fei without harming Yi Fei at all. That works too. Lu Zhaoyang's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he saw this. The sword array that had once forced him into a sorry state was now like a tourist when Yi Fei entered it. After successfully dodging the sword array, Yi Fei's expression became extremely strange. "It's actually as I expected. Could this sword array be? Brother Yi, be careful." Lu Zhaoyang, who was behind him, suddenly shouted in horror. Rumble! As he shouted, the entire sword aura space suddenly went berserk. This time, it wasn't just 1,000 sword lights whizzing by. Instead, it was 10,000 sword lights that formed a dazzling light that rapidly pierced towards Yi Fei. This kind of attack was definitely not something a martial king could withstand. Lu Zhaoyang warned Yi Fei when he sensed the terror of the second sword array and was about to retreat. "Don't go out yet. Follow my footsteps. I seem to be able to break this sword array." Yi Fei shouted at Lu Zhaoyang. His eyes became even brighter. Devouring sword essence. Facing the 10,000 sword lights in front of him, Yi Fei's entire body seemed to have disappeared and turned into a huge black hole. Of course, this black hole was only used by Yi Fei to confuse Lu Xiaoyang and prevent him from discovering his true strength. When the black hole was released, Yi Fei had secretly awakened the undying sword soul in his body. Boom! The undying sword soul was awakened. An invisible pressure, like the Emperor of Swords, suppressed the surroundings. Regardless of whether it was the Phoenix Blood Sword or the Sword Array, everything became still under the influence of the undying sword soul. Xiao Chao also woke up in the beast mark space. Her small face was filled with shock. She clearly felt the terrifying aura of the undying sword soul, but she didn't understand what it was. Brother Yi is so abnormal. Lu Xiaoyang opened his mouth wide and slapped himself hard in shock. He almost thought that he was hallucinating. What did he see? Yi Fei's sword essence suppressed the entire sword array and stopped it from operating. My strength is still too weak. Yi Fei's face was filled with dissatisfaction. One had to know that he had used the undying sword soul and thought that he could easily break the sword array. Now it seemed that the master who had set up the sword array was so powerful that Yi Fei couldn't predict his strength. Even the undying sword soul could only temporarily suppress the sword array and couldn't completely destroy it. Yi Fei was a little depressed. When Lu Xiaoyang heard this, his eyes turned red and he almost vomited blood. This abnormal person had sealed the entire sword array and still wasn't satisfied. He even said that his strength was too weak. One had to know that although Lu Xiaoyang was weak, he was still very talented. He was also known as the future North Region genius. However, compared to Yi Fei, Lu Xiaoyang suddenly felt a little discouraged. Where did this Yi Fei come from? I don't think even the Sky Prides of the North Region can do that. And I actually asked him to help me. Cut the crap. Hurry up and follow me. Let's charge through. Yi Fei turned around and roared at Lu Xiaoyang in dissatisfaction. Lu Xiaoyang's eyes lit up and he quickly ran forward as fast as he could. Yi Fei's speed wasn't slow at all. He and Lu Xiaoyang passed through the sword array at almost the same time. Boom! Just as the two of them passed through, the still sword array resumed its operation. 10,000 rays of sword light instantly shattered the space where Yi Fei had been standing. Even the space was turned into nothingness. Yi Fei's heart jumped when he saw this. What a powerful sword array! If I didn't happen to have a way to restrain it, even an invincible martial king wouldn't be able to charge through. Lu Xiaoyang's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He finally realized how stupid he had been to charge into this maze alone. Brother Yi, thank you very much. If it wasn't for you, I would probably have died here. You're welcome. I've received great benefits from the Lu family. It's only right that I save you, Yi Fei said calmly. Great benefits? How great are they? Don't tell me that my father betrothed my sister to you? If that's the case, then I should call you brother-in-law. Lu Xiaoyang's thoughts went astray. After all, the most precious thing in the Lu family wasn't the treasure, but Lu Fian. It could be said that half of the Lu family was supported by Lu Fian. Lu Xiaoyang's face was instantly filled with conflict. Brother Yi, you're taking advantage of the situation. Moreover, you look younger than me. If I were to call you brother-in-law, it would be embarrassing. Brother-in-law my ass. Chapter 558. Evil Sword Saint Lu Xiaoyang wasn't angry at being kicked. After hearing that Yi Fei wasn't related to Lu Fian, he heaved a sigh of relief. Good. My sister didn't fall for you. Otherwise, it would be awkward to have a brother-in-law younger than me. Yi Fei couldn't be bothered to talk to Lu Xiaoyang. He continued walking forward. They had only entered the maze after passing through the sword formation. However, there was still one obstacle before entering the maze. Behind the sword formation stood a powerful mechanical puppet. What made Yi Fei feel strange was that the puppet's armor looked very familiar. It really looked like Zhao's style. Lu Zhaoyang also noticed the puppet in the maze. His expression turned serious. Oh no, isn't this the mechanical puppet that only exists inside the maze? Who is this? Why did they move it outside? Are they trying to stop us from entering the maze? After all, both the Zhao and Lu families had explored the maze before. They had some understanding of the maze. After Lu Zhaoyang's explanation, Yi Fei realized that the maze didn't have a sword formation in the past. The puppets in the maze couldn't run outside the maze and stop them from entering the maze. It was obvious that the Yin soldiers and sword formation outside, as well as the mechanical puppets blocking the way, were all done by someone later on. After thinking about the sword formation space, Yi Fei suddenly had a bold guess. However, before he could confirm his guess, Lu Zhaoyang suddenly noticed something. Lu Zhaoyang suddenly discovered something and called out to Yi Fei in surprise. "Brother Yi, come here quickly. There are words here. It says that as long as we are willing to kneel down and kowtow, we can subdue this mechanical puppet. If we bring this thing back, it will be a super powerful force." Looking at the puppet, Lu Zhaoyang was so envious that he almost drooled. Then, without another word, he knelt down and prepared to kowtow. Yi Fei suddenly felt like vomiting blood. This bastard, kowtowing just because someone told you to. Didn't he think that this might be a trap? Endless space, sword formation, and kowtowing upon meeting. Why do I feel that this method is so familiar? Could it really be him? Roar! While Yi Fei was thinking, Lu Zhaoyang had already kowtowed. He thought that he could enter the treasure hunt after accepting the puppet. Unexpectedly, when Lu Zhaoyang kowtowed, Silent Puppet was suddenly activated. The huge sword in its hand slashed down at Lu Zhaoyang like lightning. "Oh no, I'll dodge. Brother Yi, come save me!" Although Lu Zhaoyang was a little silly, his strength was still very shocking. When he heard the sound of wind above his head, he did a donkey roll and quickly rolled to the side without thinking. In the end, the puppet's giant sword only left a deep crack in the ground. Seeing this, Lu Zhaoyang cursed. "Which bastard senior is this? Didn't he say that he would let us in if we kowtowed? In the end, he lied. How shameless! Ha ha ha, if this is really the work of that person, not only does he know how to deceive people, he is also a very evil person. Since we have offended him, it seems like we can only advance and not retreat. We are dead for sure." Yi Fei let out a long whistle, and a look of understanding flashed across his eyes. Then, he quickly rushed forward and slashed at the mechanical puppet. Boom! Boom! Red light flashed in the mechanical puppet's eyes. The brutal giant sword immediately changed direction and slashed fiercely at Yi Fei. Instead of retreating, Yi Fei advanced. His cold eyes were filled with a shocking battle intent. He suddenly grabbed the mechanical puppet's giant sword with his bare hands. This action not only shocked Lu Zhaoyang, but also the mechanical puppet. It was at a loss as to what to do. It quickly roared and pulled out another sword from its hand. With two swords in a chain, it was barely able to force Yi Fei to retreat. Roar! The mechanical puppet sensed that Yi Fei was the most powerful person here. Its red eyes immediately focused on Yi Fei. The two giant swords danced like two whistling whirlwinds. They smashed fiercely, causing the hard ground of the maze to collapse. How is this possible? Lu Zhaoyang widened his eyes. The ground of the maze was made of special materials. Even a 10th realm martial king might not be able to damage the ground. However, the mechanical puppet in front of him had done it so easily. Afraid that Yi Fei would be hurt, Lu Zhaoyang quickly rushed over to help. "Brother Yi, let me help you. This puppet might be an unrivaled martial king." "It is." Yi Fei's face was very serious. He knew that the person who had set up the sword formation and the mechanical puppet had no intention of letting anyone enter the maze alive. Here, no one was allowed to come close. Those who trespassed would die. However, when he thought of the burning sky style, Yi Fei's eyes suddenly became firm. So what if it was an unrivaled martial king? It was just a mechanical puppet. Lu Zhaoyang, hold it back. I am going to use my full strength, Yi Fei said loudly. Wind Willow Catkin. Lu Zhaoyang struck out with both hands. His entire body was like a willow catkin in the wind, weak and powerless. He executed an extremely strange movement technique. With this movement technique, wherever the mechanical puppet's sword swept, Lu Zhaoyang's body would be blown to the side. No matter how much strength the mechanical puppet used, it could not hit its target. It could only watch as Lu Zhaoyang floated around like a ball of cotton. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Fei quickly formed the black hole space. Then, he reached out his right hand, grabbed the black hole space, and threw it forward. Sky Destroyer sword, swallowing sky style. Boom! Boom! The black hole was compressed and continuously expanded. Soon, it formed a terrifying spatial sword. Yi Fei grabbed it and slashed it forward. Lu Zhaoyang, move aside. What kind of sword technique is that? It even created a spatial crack. Lu Zhaoyang was drenched in a cold sweat. He hurried to the side. At the same time, Yi Fei's swallowing sky style landed on the mechanical puppet. To everyone's astonishment, the mechanical puppet was not killed. At the same time, Yi Fei heard a cold voice in his head. Who are you? You are not from the Zhao family or the Lu family. Where did you learn the swallowing sky style? Shouldn't you tell me who you are before you ask someone else? Yi Fei was not surprised by the voice in his head. He shouted back at Yi Fei. Good boy. You have guts. No one has ever dared to talk to me like this. Remember, I am the evil sword sage and I will kill you. The cold voice, with a strong killing intent, burst out from the mechanical puppet. The spatial sword created by the swallowing sky style was shattered. PFF. PFF. Yi Fei and Lu Zhaoyang were also severely injured by the mechanical puppet. They spat out blood. Wu Jun's force? Is Wu Jun a titled battle pet warrior hiding here? Lu Zhaoyang was terrified. He turned to Yi Fei with a forced smile. Brother Yi, I am so sorry that you have to die with me. Shut up, you liar. I don't care if he is the evil sword sage or Zhao Qianjun. If he wants to kill me, I will kill him even if he is Wu Jun. Yi Fei wiped the blood from his mouth and stood up again. Even if he could not win, he would not give up and wait for death. Even if I only have one breath left, I will fight. Boom! Chapter 559. Zhao Qianjun, that's a saint artifact? Perhaps we still have a chance to escape. Lu Zhaoyang was already in despair when he felt the terrifying pressure coming from the depths of the maze. However, when Yi Fei took out his saint artifact, he saw hope again. He was completely convinced by Yi Fei. This Yi Fei wasn't a prodigy, but he was even more abnormal than many prodigies. In the depths of the maze, the voice that was controlling the mechanical puppet to kill Yi Fei was also extremely shocked when it saw Yi Fei take out the Phoenix Blood Sword. The killing intent and evil aura on the mechanical puppet suddenly disappeared. In Yi Fei's mind, the voice once again questioned, Kid, that's the Phoenix Blood Sword in your hand. How did it become a saint artifact? How did you know my name? Zhao Qianjun, it's really you. I was wondering how you, the evil Sword King, could die so easily. So you've been hiding here all this time. Yi Fei's expression was solemn. When he found out that this person was Zhao Qianjun, he felt even more terrified. After all, Zhao Qianjun wasn't an ordinary ruthless person. This evil Sword King was a cold Xuetu who slaughtered an army of 100,000 and almost destroyed the 9 sects and 5 palaces of the Zhao kingdom. Hearing this, the voice in Yi Fei's mind was furious. Junior, what nonsense are you spouting? I'm a sword saint. How can I hide here? Kid, get in here and talk to me. Boom. The entire maze shook violently. Lu Zhaoyang fainted from the shock. Yi Fei also felt a terrifying force pushing him into a mysterious space. There was a person standing in this space. A majestic man wearing a black robe and a devil mask. The man took off his mask, revealing a terrifying face that had no eyes, no ears, and no face. He looked coldly at Yi Fei. "Kid, you're from the Zhao Kingdom's royal family?" "I'm not," Yi Fei said coldly as he gripped the phoenix blood sword in his hand tightly. "You're not afraid of me?" Zhao Qianjun was very surprised. His appearance had frightened many people in the past. He didn't even need to do anything. Just taking off his mask was enough to make many warriors break down in fear. "What's there to be afraid of? It's just skin. You and I will grow old and ugly one day. Besides, I don't believe that you can't recover your looks with your abilities," Yi Fei said calmly. In any case, even if he went all out, he might not be the evil demon Sword King's match. Thus, Yi Fei calmed down and sat down on the ground, observing his surroundings. He found that this was a tomb, and the style of the tomb was very ancient. It obviously didn't look like Zhao Qianjun's tomb. Of course, an evil demon like Zhao Qianjun wouldn't die so easily. "You didn't die back then, but faked your death to escape?" Yi Fei asked Zhao Qianjun. Zhao Qianjun suddenly felt gloomy. When others saw him, they would be scared to death. Very few people dared to talk to him like Yi Fei did. However, this was not enough to scare Yi Fei. Zhao Qianjun uninterestedly retracted his terrifying appearance. The Zhao Qianjun who reappeared had delicate features, and he actually looked like a refined scholar, not a terrifying evil demon covered in blood. Looking deeply at Yi Fei, Zhao Qianjun asked, "Kid, speak. How did the phoenix blood sword fall into your hands? How did you comprehend the devouring sword intent and even find this place?" "I obtained the devouring spirit sword you left behind and saved the demon king. As for the phoenix blood sword, it was given to me by Emperor Zhao. Then, the demon king personally helped me refine it into a saint artifact," Yi Fei said very calmly. There was no need to hide these things from Zhao Qianjun. Of course, Yi Fei had to bring up his cheap master, the demon king, to intimidate the evil demon sword king. As the first person to obtain the devouring spirit sword and comprehend the devouring sword intent, Zhao Qianjun naturally knew of the demon king's existence. When he heard that Yi Fei had accomplished something he couldn't and saved the demon king from the demon sealing pagoda, even the eccentric and cold-blooded Zhao Qianjun looked at Yi Fei with a trace of shock. "You actually managed to save that senior. No wonder. For a period of time, I sensed the aura of a martial king in the northern region. I didn't expect that senior to have escaped. However, what's going on with the phoenix blood sword? It's an important treasure of my imperial family. How can it fall into the hands of an outsider like you?" Zhao Qianjun suddenly stared sharply at Yi Fei. This was the reason why he hadn't killed Yi Fei yet. He had to figure this out. Yi Fei was helpless. He could only tell Zhao Qianjun about how he had offended the Heavenly Yin cult, how he had obtained the Phoenix Blood Sword, and how Zhao had perished. "Senior, the situation is like this. Right now, Zhao no longer exists. Zhao Yu and the Empress Dowager are nowhere to be found. Uncle Zhao originally wanted to bring the remaining members of the imperial family to seek refuge with the main family, but in the end, he was given the cold shoulder. Senior, are you listening?" Yi Fei looked at Zhao Qianjun's face, which was alternating between red, white, and green. He was truly afraid that the evil demon Sword King would suddenly turn hostile and attack him. After all, evil demons had eccentric tempers and were lawless. Fortunately, Yi Fei's worries didn't come to fruition. After hearing Yi Fei's story, Zhao Qianjun was silent for a long time. Only then did he slowly withdraw his killing intent. The gaze he looked at Yi Fei with became much friendlier. "Brat, put away your phoenix blood sword. For the sake of my nephew Zhao Xing, I'll forgive you this time. However, is what you said true? Did someone with the bearing of an emperor really appear in my Zhao imperial family? Yi Fei was speechless. My life and death are in Senior's hands. Do you think I would dare to lie to you? Humph, I don't think you wouldn't dare. Don't think that I'm just a remnant will. I've cultivated evil demon cultivation techniques since I was young. I've already cultivated the strongest evil demon eye. Whether your words are true or false, they can't escape my eyes, Zhao Qianjun said with a cold snort. Only now did Yi Fei understand that the shockingly powerful evil demon Sword King was just a remnant will. Right, I remember now. Uncle Zhao said that you've already gone to the Central Plains. Senior, are you in the Central Plains right now? Of course. Ever since I broke through to the titled realm, Wu Jun, I directly crossed the ocean and went to the Central Plains to seek the path of a martial saint. However, I was worried about Zhao's imperial family. Therefore, I left a remnant will here, hoping that a descendant of the imperial family would find me. It could be considered as giving them an opportunity. Zhao Qianjun looked at Yi Fei with an unfriendly gaze. Who would have thought that instead of a descendant of the imperial family, you would come? Perhaps this is the will of the heavens. Brat, seeing that you and my Zhao clan are connected by fate, you and I can be considered to be of the same origin. Kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times. F***CK. Yi Fei didn't think that Zhao Qianjun would be so fickle. They had been talking nicely just a moment ago, but in the blink of an eye, he wanted him to kowtow. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't defeat this evil demon Sword King, he would definitely fight him to the death. Seeing that Yi Fei didn't have any intention of kowtowing, Zhao Qianjun didn't rush him. However, his expression became more and more unsightly, and the killing intent in his eyes became heavier and heavier. Thus, Yi Fei decided to compromise. After all, a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. Strictly speaking, Zhao Qianjun was an elder. Forget it. If it weren't for Senior's devouring spirit sword and devouring sword intent, I wouldn't have been able to meet the Demon King and achieve what I have today. Consider this as me repaying his kindness. Yi Fei understood this point and no longer had any conflicting emotions. He quickly knelt down and kowtowed 3 times to Zhao Qianjun's remnant will. Sword King, it was all thanks to your inheritance that I was able to live until now. Yi Fei can't thank you enough. Good. You are Yi Fei, right? You and I have both comprehended the devouring sword intent and received the Demon King's favor. Although I didn't take the Demon King as my master, in my heart, I have always regarded him as my master. Since you have bowed, from now on, you and I will call each other senior and junior brothers. Chapter 560. Emperor's Fate. However, Zhao Qianjun was such a person. He never bothered to explain to anyone what he wanted to do. For example, when he wanted to acknowledge Yi Fei as his junior brother, Zhao Qianjun did not say anything. He only asked Yi Fei to kowtow. If Yi Fei did not kowtow, it would mean that he was not fated to be the evil demon Sword Saint. Even if Yi Fei was related to the Zhao royal family, Zhao Qianjun would never allow Yi Fei to possess the Phoenix Blood Sword again. He would forcefully seize the Phoenix Blood Sword and chase Yi Fei out of the underground maze. However, Yi Fei had kowtowed and acknowledged Zhao Qianjun as his senior brother. Zhao Qianjun had no reason to take back the Phoenix Blood Sword. His attitude towards Yi Fei had also changed from cold to warm. Yi Fei, since you and I are senior brothers, I can tell you some things. Do you know where the devouring sword intent that we have grasped originates from? Zhao Qianjun asked. Emperor's sword technique. Yi Fei said in a deep voice. There was no need to hide it. After all, Zhao Qianjun had occupied the entire underground maze. The sky-burning style of the Sky Destroyer sword must have fallen into Zhao Qianjun's hands. You actually know? That makes things much easier. Zhao Qianjun nodded. He was not too surprised. Instead, he said seriously, however, there is one thing that both you and I have misunderstood. In fact, this is not the Emperor's sword technique. It is the 4 types of fate that an ancient emperor has passed down. Fate? That's right. It is fate. I only understood this after I went to the central region and received guidance from an expert. Whether it is the Sky Destroyer style that the Demon Emperor grasped or the Sky Burning style that I grasped, they are all a part of this Emperor's fate. Unfortunately, I did not understand this back then. I only grasped one of them and became complacent. I forcefully stepped onto the path of a martial saint and missed the opportunity to comprehend the complete Emperor's fate, Zhao Qianjun explained. But Yi Fei was confused by what he heard. Shaking his head, he said, I only know that martial artists who possess emperor postures all have astonishing destiny. But what does the heavenly extermination sword have to do with a great emperor's destiny? Zhao Qianjun sighed. How could it not matter? Do you know what is the most important thing to become a martial emperor? Aside from talent, aptitude, and comprehension ability, luck cannot be underestimated. This is also the reason why cultivators with emperor's potential have an easier time breaking through to martial emperor than ordinary cultivators. There are only 2 ways to obtain emperor providence. One is to defeat other geniuses with emperor providence and plunder their emperor providence. The other is to find a way to use the Emperor Providence to defy the heavens and force cultivators without Emperor Providence to possess Emperor Providence. Zhao Qianjun looked at Yi Fei with bright eyes. Yi Fei was not stupid. He immediately understood what Zhao Qianjun was trying to say. Senior brother, are you saying that if I can obtain all the moves of the heavenly extermination sword before I become a martial sage, I will be able to use the Emperor Providence hidden in the sword moves to defy the heavens and change my fate, allowing me to possess Emperor Providence? Yi Fei felt his breathing quicken. Zhao Qianjun's words were definitely an extremely shocking discovery. Luck was illusory. Those who possessed Emperor Providence were all born extraordinary. However, there was actually someone who could defy the heavens and change their fate, forcefully allowing ordinary martial artists to gather providence and transform into dragons. As expected of a martial emperor expert, this method is not something we can imagine. I'm afraid that even the demon monarch did not expect this. Yi Fei could not help but truly acknowledge Zhao Qianjun. Although Zhao Qianjun was an evil demon and was extremely vicious and merciless, Yi Fei was very clear about this through his interactions with Zhao Qianjun and the evaluation of Zhao Xing and the other members of the royal family. Although Zhao Qianjun was an evil demon, he was an evil demon with feelings. If someone treated him twice as well, he would treat them 10 times better. If someone treated him twice as badly, he would treat them 100 times, 1,000 times worse. This was Zhao Qianjun, the evil demon sword monarch, who had slaughtered 100,000 soldiers and destroyed the 9 sects and 5 palaces. Yi Fei's expression couldn't help but become serious. He solemnly bowed to Zhao Qianjun and said, "Thank you for your guidance, senior brother. If it weren't for your guidance, I would have missed this great opportunity." Yi Fei bowed to Zhao Qianjun again. He was sincerely convinced. Zhao Qianjun did not stop Yi Fei from bowing. Instead, he accepted his gratitude with a clear conscience. At the same time, Yi Fei did not know that Zhao Qianjun did things based on his personal preferences. He simply could not be bothered with worldly matters. Even forcefully acknowledging Yi Fei as his junior brother was something Zhao Qianjun had done on the spur of the moment. On account of the fact that Yi Fei's martial techniques originated from the same source, he wanted to give Yi Fei some pointers. However, with Zhao Qianjun's strange personality, he could not be bothered to explain it to Yi Fei. Yi Fei, now that you know the secret of the Emperor's sword, you must remember that before you obtain the complete Emperor's sword art and alter your destiny, you must not break through to the 12th layer of the martial sacred realm. If you are in a rush to break through to the martial sacred realm like me, you will not be able to obtain the Emperor's fortune, Zhao Qianjun warned. Yi Fei instantly frowned after hearing this. Senior brother, I know you're doing this for my own good. However, I've already obtained the first and second sky extinguishing sword. The third move is with you. As for the fourth move, I don't even know if it's in the northern region. If I can't find it in 10 or 20 years, I can't possibly stay in the martial sacred realm forever. Haha, junior brother, this is your problem. Anyway, I've already given you the benefit. Whether you can obtain them or not will depend on your luck. Of course, you don't have to worry. How about this, I'll give you 10 years. 10 years later. It doesn't matter if you still can't find the sky extinguishing sword. Upon saying this, Zhao Qianjun suddenly wore a confident expression as he said in a sinister tone, At most, I'll teach you the devouring demonic art when you come to the Middle Continent. At that time, you and I will work together and kill a few geniuses of the Middle Continent with great fortune, and steal their fortune. That way, we will still have a chance to achieve the martial dominator realm and the martial monarch realm. Ugh! This Zhao Qianjun was indeed the demonic sword sacred. His method was bloody and violent and extremely straightforward. If I don't have it, I'll steal it. In the entire northern region, apart from Zhao Qianjun, no one else would dare to say something so righteous. Yi Fei was suddenly curious about Zhao Qianjun's cultivation. Senior brother, what's your current cultivation? 12th layer of the martial sacred realm, heavenly great sage. Zhao Qianjun said in a calm tone, as if he was not satisfied with his current cultivation. Yi Fei was left speechless. You're already the heavenly great sage, and you're still not satisfied with your current cultivation? How are we, the lesser martial emperors, supposed to live? As if he could understand Yi Fei's thoughts, Zhao Qianjun suddenly exclaimed, Yi Fei, do you think the heavenly great sage is extremely powerful and unreachable? However, you should know that there are countless cultivators like me in the Middle Continent, and there's even someone who has achieved the martial sacred realm at your age. You'll understand it when you come to the Middle Continent. Now, I have something else for you to do. Whoosh! Before Yi Fei could ask, Zhao Qianjun had already placed a huge pile of treasures in front of Yi Fei and said in a dull tone, These are the treasures I've collected in the northern region. I've let my brother Zhao Jun down in the past, as he died because of me. Therefore, I can only leave these treasures behind to compensate his descendants. Bring them to them for me. Don't worry, senior brother. I'll bring these treasures to Uncle Zhao and the rest. Yi Fei looked at the treasures in surprise. There were emperor-level cultivation techniques, various elixirs, large amounts of spirit crystals and spirit stones, and even divine weapons. Yi Fei even saw a total of 3 sacred artifacts. Being an evil demon was too good. The treasures that Zhao Qianjun had given him were almost equivalent to half of the Northern Ocean country's treasury. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.